Nothing is as it seems. Caught in the in-between. The shadows disguise, and I don't know why. Nothing is as it seems. Something got a hold of me, lying in a bed of thieves. What is reality? And in broken, left it wide open. Everything's crashing down. Standing here frozen, truth is showing, and I know now nothing is as it seems. Nothing is as it seems. Nothing is as it seems.
Did it just stop? Unmute yourself. I think it stopped. I'm not sure. Did it stop? Or it froze? I don't know. It's good enough. Hey, is your Wi-Fi on?
I'm not on.
Yeah, I don't get it. Can you hear me?
No, I think it is. Should I turn it off?
Yeah. You're on mute. It's still doing its thing. This stupid video. Removed. There we go.
Yeah.
Now can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right. I like the song though. I mean, I think there's
It's
a winner
good.
there. Yeah.
I like it. It's, this is what happens when you're at your mother-in-law's house.
Yeah.
So
I
what's
mean,
going on, everybody?
It's a very spooky, kind of ethereal, and I love the theme of it. Like nothing is as it seems, Because here supposedly we've got a solution, sort of, to, or we at least have a location for the treasure, and yet everything still seems very confusing. So nothing is as it seems.
Didn't the man himself say it?
Yeah, I mean
Pretty
that's
sure
my
he did.
understanding.
By the way, guys, not sure if you're aware, but yes, my poem is live. Okay. Anybody who knows, he knows it's available now. I'm not making news.
Let me drop a link to that in the chat.
Yeah, I wanted to, let's see, hold on. Stop that. Remove that. Share. I think I made a blog today, Jeremy.
I know. I'm so proud of you because, like you said, you didn't know how, and here it is. It's right here in front of us.
I had no clue what I was doing. I still don't. This isn't even the landing page. Hold on. This is the this is the landing page. Let me make it bigger. There we go. So up for grabs, the Fenn fishing flies. The mission, because that's literally what was in. It was already pre-written for me. I was like, all right, fine. Somewhere in I don't know if you can read this. Somewhere in Colorado, within 15 minutes driving distance of camping and lodging, is the Fenn fly loot. You hunt at your own risk. This hunt will end if no one has found them on August 22, 2023. The loot. Now I did that one. They did not put that in there for me. I had to actually edit and do something.
Oh, okay.
31 handcrafted Fenn fishing flies created by 3 generations of Fenn fishermen, including Forrest Fenn himself, kept safe in a Fenn Gallery's religious medals case, because that's what they're kept in, and I still don't understand why. A couple secret items put in by me. just a very off-putting sentence, just randomly stuck there at the end. It's not joined. It's disjointed to the rest of it. It's very weird. Contact us, thetreasurewarriors@gmail. Now, I'm not telling you to send me your fucking solves and shit like that, but there's a contact there should you be so inclined.
So are you saying that this was a template and that you didn't choose the word mission? Because I was thinking maybe that's a hint, like maybe it's an old church or
Correct.
something like that.
This was part of the template, and I just kept it there. But I did change. I think it was, I can't remember what was next, but it was like, all right, I got to change that. The mission, this is your mission. Your mission is somewhere in Colorado.
So loot could be a clue, is what you're saying.
Loot could be a clue. Loot could be a clue. If you then click the poem on the top right, now I could make this bigger, but I have chosen not to.
It looks nice.
For a second, it still looks like you're on the same page. The Impossible Poem.
Yeah.
Start your search. I'm not going to read it, but here it is.
Yeah, I mean, the link's in the chat if you guys want to go and check that out. I highly encourage it. So allow me to say, because you're probably going to be kind of humble about it, but if you think about it, Forrest Fenn's treasure has been found. There's supposedly bells and jars out there still to be found, but otherwise there is nothing else from Forrest Fenn out there hidden in the world except for what Ben is putting out there. So in a way, you could call this Chase 2.0 because this is
good.
Yeah, this is literally Fenn loot out there for you to find. Now it's not made out of gold or anything, but you know, it's still pretty cool.
Shiny.
No.
It doesn't, I mean, except for the Bumblebee Popper. That actually
I was gonna say parts of it are shiny. I mean, there's some shiny in here. Look, the Mucilin case is shiny.
The Mucilin case is shiny. There's a shine right there.
Yeah. There's some shiny stuff in here.
Listen, this chapstick, I'm sure, shines in the sun. It's plastic.
It makes your lips shine. Yeah.
It makes your lips shine.
Yeah. Now, Forrest Fenn's treasure, you know, the gold and all that, it never made your lips shine. So this is better in a way, you know.
That's what I'm saying.
You could spend the gold on some chapstick, but this is authentic Forrest Fenn chapstick.
I do want to say, caveat though, within this fishing case, 10 of these flies will be removed. They will not be there. The ones that were won, and those 10 people have selected or are going to be selecting the remaining flies, and they will be removed from the case. The Bumblebee Popper, the one Shiloh spoke of in the letter, that will remain in the case. I know Candy's big on, she has the woolly worm, and but we also did it by kind of like battleship, so A, B, C, D, E, and then you count down. And so we have reservations on all of them.
Interesting.
At least the 10. Yeah. You gave yours up.
I did. I contributed mine
for the sake of the hunt.
Yeah, because I believe so strongly in Chase 2.0, I wanted to participate myself. So I had won one in a previous contest, and I'm like, I'm paying it forward so that one of you lucky individuals, maybe in the chat right now, can find the one I'm getting. Like, which one am I giving up? Did I pick one? What's the best one in there?
I believe I have. Hold up. What's the best?
Yeah, what's the best one that's not spoken for?
That's a matter of opinion, sir.
Well,
hold on. I have a list that was made and given to me by one of our viewers who wanted to make sure that she didn't say this, but no shenanigans. I'm trying to type in. Where the hell? I have like I have Ashley's hair all over me. It's annoying.
What about the one with the red eyeball? It looks like an eyeball.
I'm pretty sure that one was taken.
Man. What, the Bumblebee one, I assume, is taken?
The Bumblebee one, oh, I'm getting like a Gmail error right now. That's weird. The Bumblebee one is not taken. That was going to be part of my 9 that I was keeping, but I decided to pay my 9 forward as well. So that's why there's 31.
Oh, okay. There
would have been, without your 1 and my 9, meaning 10, I think there would have only been 21 in there. Now there's 31.
Nice.
Now, if anybody else who had won a fly or was promised a fly. Now, we only had 6 winners. I promised 4, and we had 6 winners. If somebody wants to forego the fly that they either won or were promised and keep it intact in the case, by all means do so. And if all 10 remaining folks want to pay it forward, I will give all 10 of those folks their own little keepsake from this chase that'll be worth something. I will be hitting a couple. Okay. So I said there's a couple of secret items. And by the way, we're going to get to the cavalry media.
Yeah. Like we'll get to that eventually. This is a lot more important. So like, I think
treasure hunters. This is fun.
Yeah,
this is
I think
important.
if people pay it forward, you should get everybody like a commemorative Burt's Bees chapstick and send it to them. That's what you should do.
All right, so I'm going to make a new offer.
Susie's not having it.
Hers, and she should keep hers. She I like that. So if the remaining 9 put theirs back in here, because I would love the 41-40 discrepancy, because that was kind of the initial drama with this fishing case. If the remaining 9 forego theirs, I will get all 9 a gift. What I'm doing is, I said there's going to be 2 secret items a couple of secret items in the chest that I add in addition to this. I will be acquiring those items in various antique shops that I am going to be roaming through on my way to the spot.
Nice.
And I already have items in mind that I want, and that I assume will, if I can find the perfect match to what is in my brain, it will be available in an antique store, and it'll be worth some money. I'll have to shell out some bucks, but that's fine.
Yeah. So like, if somebody
changing,
if somebody does find this and you're wondering which one's mine, it's the hairy one, right around there somewhere.
Yeah. There you go. Maybe I have it in the Discord. I thought for sure I had it in the Discord. And again, for all 41 of them, I was offered 40,000.
I like the one with the beady red eyes. You know,
I got that from 2 or 3 different people.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew or not, but I'm a fan of Mothman. It looks like Mothman there. Looks like Mothman to me.
Gosh. Britt already says he wants the promised fly. It's so we're down to 8 people left. I'll keep the deal. For whatever remaining folks forego their fly, they will get a little trinket from me instead. But I would too, to be honest. I would keep the fly.
Yeah, but you guys, look. I mean, this is like the mystery box. You can have a fly, or you can have what's in the mystery box. You don't know what's in the mystery box. It may be something like cooler than the fly. You don't know.
This is very true, Jeremy. It is a mystery box item, and it will be pertinent to the poem.
It's an impossible whopper. That's what it is.
Well, it can't. I mean, it won't degrade, right? It'll just sit
there. Right. Yeah, I mean those things, like, you can buy a burger and leave it on the shelf. It's not. I don't know. It might get a little bit of mold, but you can still eat it. No, I'm just kidding. Don't eat them. No.
Redneck says door number 2 is always something lame. This is typically true, but we'll see. We'll see.
You guys keep your flies.
I guess you guys have no faith in my antiquing skills. Fair enough.
Somebody out there is going to win all the remaining flies. That's going to be cool.
That is going to be cool. It is going to be cool. I hope no one does, so that I can go back and get them all, or at least the remaining ones, the 31 at least that we know are going to be in there.
So, are you willing to answer any questions about this on air, like on the record? Like,
I mean, no one's getting anything out of me. It's fine.
Do you still feel like it's an impossible poem, or do you feel like anyone's making progress so far? Like, it's only been out there for like a day or two. So like
it's been out there for 3 days, you son of a bitch. Wait, when did I do it? Friday or Saturday?
I don't know.
Friday.
I solved it that night. I already figured it out. I know exactly where it is.
Hey guys, when did I start this?
It was a couple of days ago. Look, now is officially the start of it because you have the website. you have the blog and
Listen,
all of that.
4 days is 100% more than 2 days. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I want the real number. I want listen, there are hunts that have been solved in 1 day.
You did a video about it. I think it was Friday.
Was it Friday?
I think so. I don't really
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today's day 4. But yeah, I'll take. Is it okay? What the premise of the question? I believe the title of the poem is perfect.
I mean, I feel like that's the clue. Every single thing you say now is suspect. Like, wait, what are you drinking there? That's probably a clue too.
I am drinking a Tap the Rockies Coors Light.
Oh, wait, you were out for a walk. That's when you released it. You were in a video, you were out for a walk, and you were wearing a white t-shirt. Because I noticed you're wearing a white t-shirt tonight, and I'm like, is that a clue? Everything's a clue.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to find out. It's the quest for the green. I don't know if it was the quest for the white.
I don't know. Like, it's impossible. Maybe like that's, I don't know. I've got nothing, but like I will figure this out. I will get it.
Can I poke your brain a little bit? If you're going to ask me questions, can I ask questions?
I mean, I guess. Yeah. I mean,
what do you find to be the simplest, and or you can answer either one, the hardest, if there is, portion of this poem?
I mean, there's a lot of, so like for Fenn's poem, there's a lot of like vague stuff in here. And then there's other things that you kind of latch onto because it seems like it would be pretty specific. So like the salmon, swine, however you pronounce that, a lot of people are focused on that. And I think, you know, it's in the first line. So you naturally, and it's supposed to be where you start. So people gravitate towards that. But I feel like that's going to be something really specific. And then other things in here, you know, you wonder, is it just in there for filler? You know, a lot like the Forrest Fenn poem. Is it in there for filler, or is it something that you're supposed to like hyper focus attention on?
In there for filler.
Right. Like,
can I maybe address that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to stop you from telling us.
That's interesting. I find it interesting. Let me quietly, quickly scan. I would say one word in this filler.
One word. So what I'm hearing is all the nouns are important. Do we have to look up the definition of every word?
How do you know the one word that's not important is a noun?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Fins Up has a question. Like, is this an armchair hunt or will boots on the ground be required? I feel like you've answered this, but maybe you might want to answer.
Okay, so this is both. It can be solved only boots on the ground. No. Let me rephrase that. You could solve this only boots on the ground. You can solve most of it from Google Earth. That one. Hold on, I'm going to teach this guy how to change the input on his TV. Yeah, so you're going to press this one, and then one of those extra inputs will be the Xbox.
I actually turned the sound on.
That's okay.
Why is the TV so loud?
Just turn the volume down with the other remote, the DirecTV remote.
Is it like white?
Yeah, I know. There's so many remotes. Now, you're going to press this and go to each input until you get to the Xbox. All right. Sorry. What was that?
Wait, only one word is unimportant?
I would say one word is filler.
Is it one instance of a word, or is it like a word that could be?
Poem, in my opinion, is filler.
All right. But it may not appear more than once. So like I'm looking at the word a.
This word could appear once, twice, 3 times a lady. I'm saying one word in this poem, I believe, is filler.
Man. You know what?
You cannot, I just looked at the quote again for the question. You cannot solve this poem from your armchair.
You may have come up. Look at that semicolon right there. You put that in just to be an asshole, didn't you? You put that in there for Packer Jack. That's what you did.
Which one, Jeremy? Which one?
All of them. How many are
there?
there?
Look up at the peaks. You found your sign. Semicolon. It'll come in handy when choosing your trail. That's not a very eloquent couple of lines there. Or this semicolon, below iron you go, on your right comes a distraction.
I mean, this is pretty good.
Or is it the final semicolon? But a final choice must be made, semicolon, from this poem derived. Will Ben be issuing scrapbooks? Sam, USA, China, I'm so glad you asked. I'll throw the link this time in.
All right.
It's called The Impossible Poem Scrapbooks.com. I even put /home to get you right to the poem. Why is it /home for the poem? I don't know. Home of Brown? Or is that me not knowing how to navigate the pages within WordPress?
Is there any colors in this poem?
Are there colors in this poem?
Yeah.
This poem, to me, looks black and white.
It does look black and white. I mean, it's an off black. It's like a dark grayish black.
Correct. But I would also say it's not an egg white. This is a pure white.
Yeah, that is white.
Yeah. Are we ready to move on, or do you want? I'm down for more questions. You do questions throughout the whole goddamn thing. I don't care. None of you are solving this.
Look, I tell you what, we're only on episode 4 of X Marks the Spot. We're going to be back.
That's what the people are here for.
This is an impossible poem, so it's not going to be solved this week. So what I challenge all of you guys out there in the viewing audience and there in the chat room, I challenge you guys to sit with this for a week, and then maybe we'll revisit it next week and see if anybody's made any progress, because I think it's impossible. I mean, some people are talking in Discord. They have some pretty good ideas. Oh, here's Vertigo. Vertigo's already solved it, I'm sure.
Vertigo is out of nowhere. We were missing Vertigo for, I think, 10 days. And then this poem has brought Vertigo back, like the Undertaker coming out of the coffin.
Yeah. And you know what? I know exactly.
A soundboard for this. Hold on, just one. Oh, I'm not logged in. You can talk. Never mind. I had timing, but the timing's gone.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know exactly when Vertigo is going to solve this, because it's going to be when when I'm getting really close. Like, I'm going to come up with this great idea that's just going to crack this poem wide open. And as soon as I start thinking it, Vertigo is going to have solved it, because that's the way he does it.
You know when Vertigo's going to solve it? Here's my guess. Here's my gut feeling for when Vertigo might solve this poem. June 5th, 2023.
Yeah.
For anyone who doubts my comedic timing, I fucking nailed that shit.
Yep. And for you guys that don't know, there's an end to this treasure hunt. So like if you don't solve the impossible poem within time, it all goes back to Ben. Ben gets all the flies.
That's exactly right. This is a bet. This isn't a dare. This is a bet. This is my loophole. Make it very clear. This is my loophole to not being able to keep something from the chase that's worth money. I said I wouldn't do it, and I'm not doing it. All the flies are out there. I'm not even keeping the 9, including the Bumblebee Whopper that Shiloh talks about. I wrote a poem. That poem will take you right the fuck to it. If you can't find it by Forrest Fenn's birthday next year, they're mine.
And just to reiterate, this is the last chance you have to use a poem to find something of Forrest Fenn's. Otherwise, you got to go find a bell or a jar, and who knows if there's any clues to go find those.
God, I hope so, though.
This is technically a poem that leads to Forrest Fenn's loot. So it's Chase 2.0. That's what I'm going to call it. Chase 2.0.
I like it. Chase 2.0. We'll go with it.
Yeah.
Maybe Leroy makes a quick little comment on the poem, maybe. I'm kidding. All right, so we will segue from that. Let's get to what the people came for. X marks the spot. The weekly summer saga that is what is feeding our Forrest Fenn frenzy. Is that fair?
Forrest frenzy? What?
What? Vertigo spiraling into the chat. There's levels there. There are people from Cavalry watching that are going, what the fuck is Ben talking about? And then there are people in the chat going, I remember when Vertigo was talking to Forest Frenzy.
Yeah. But you know what? I feel like talking about your treasure hunt is actually on topic, because a lot of this episode, is talking about the idea of treasure hunts in general, and like the origins maybe that Forrest Fenn, or the inspiration that maybe Forrest Fenn drew on for his. So I do think it's totally on topic to be talking about your treasure hunt and possibly some other ones, because they're going to be talking about some here in this podcast. So
Vertigo's here to watch my poker face. I like it.
Or lack thereof. I feel like you've already given it away.
Who says I needed one?
I asked if there's any colors in it, and you could tell in your eyes. I know exactly where this thing is.
I was debating between off-white or egg white and just white, and I said, you know what? There's no egg white, and I just went with no egg white. But there is black.
You know what else is white? Golf balls.
Black, is white
black? Black is the absence of color, and white is
correct.
All colors, because it's all about light. So,
can I say something that could be very misconstrued, but I think is ironically hilarious?
We're talking about black and white.
But here's what I'm saying. Those who called were morons, because they're not, because it's absence of. They're making fun of themselves, is what I'm saying. Idiots trying to be racist were just actually ironically not understanding language.
Yeah.
That's the moral of my joke, but I just won't say the joke.
All right, good.
This is how I toe the line. This is how I listen. There's a line. Great. I'm going to grab onto it. I'm going to swing on both sides of it. Fuck off if you don't like it.
I think a t-shirt is a hint to white golf balls. I'm just throwing it out there.
Golf has taken over the Discord on this solve. I've found it peculiar. Where did it start? I just love the idea that I could put in Shooter McGavin gifts. And if you guys don't know, there are people asking questions all day, every day on the Discord. Can we throw the Discord link in there? Not if you want to ask questions, but the main topic of conversation is going to be, of course, the fuck's going on in the Fenn chase. But,
yeah. That's what everybody talks about most of the time. Like, and, some of it, people have an idea of what happened in the chase, and they're just trying to fill in some blanks. Other people are completely confused. None of it makes any sense to them, and they're trying to understand it a little bit. So, you get all types. I mean, of course, we get some people in there that, think that there's still a chest out there to be found, and they know exactly where it is, and for some reason they haven't gone and got it yet. Yeah, that makes sense.
Works. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I mean, every person in the chase community is represented there. So, whatever your ideas are, you're probably going to find somebody else who has those ideas as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's get to it. Episode 4. My internet's going wonky. Hey, Derek, you're not on Wi-Fi, right? Yeah, never mind. He's playing video games. There's nothing we can do. We're going to press forward.
All right.
How do I do this? I don't want to make me bigger. All right, here we go. Lisa says golf is a diversion. Slight of the 9-iron. I don't know if I like this. I don't know. Slight of the 9-iron. What is she doing a play on words of? Plight of the 9-iron? Sleight of hand? None of this works with 9-iron. I don't get it. Am I missing the joke? Is it going right over my head?
I don't know. I don't know. Lisa makes sense a lot of the times, and then other times she doesn't make any sense. And I don't know which one it is this time.
Lisa, before we get into X marks the spot, Lisa, ask me please a question about this poem. Any question you want, and I'm going to give you an answer right now. I just want to make one little point for her.
Oh man, I'm wondering what she's going to ask.
I'm going to wait for it too.
Maybe she isn't going to ask anything because she already has it all figured out.
Here we go. love it. I actually like that I was doing different things than you, so it looked so awkward. That was great. That was great. Literally nothing from Lisa in that time, by the way. Nothing.
Yeah. Every now and then we have to do these things to prove that it's not scripted. This is unscripted.
Okay, here's a question that I asked myself, just real quick again for the poem. I was going to give this as a hint one time, at one point at the end of this search season. I'm not sure if I should or not. Tell me what you think.
All right.
The exact distance from starting point to finish.
If you should give a clue to that?
No. Well, a clue to it, or just give that away. The exact distance from start to finish of this poem. Give that distance in some form, I'll choose, but you'll know the distance. And again, it's an impossible poem. You still won't fucking get it.
I mean, maybe you could like keep it vague, like it's many miles versus a few miles or something like that.
I will give a precise distance. I'm just not sure in which measurement I'll give that distance. It'll be cheeky. You'll know the precise distance from start to finish.
I'm going to defer to the chat and see what they say, but like I feel like that might give it away because you can actually play off of things like that. Like if somebody had told me that too far to walk is 4 miles or something like that, I feel like that could have been a huge clue in Forrest Fenn's thing.
But Forrest Fenn gave us this. He told us too far to walk was 10 miles. Okay, so let me do everything just under 10 miles. What is that? 9 miles.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, hold on.
Well, that was some weird shit.
Hold on. It's 9 miles.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Y'all weren't expecting that soundboard clip. Yes, 9 miles.
Yeah.
Nobody got it then for what? Wait, did Jack get it on the 9th year?
Oh, man. Why are you going to say things like that? Because that's going to stick in my head and rattle around in there. And I'm going to start. Every now and then, I feel comfortable saying, no, everything's above board. Everything's exactly as it seems. Everything makes sense. And then you go and say something like that. And now I'm all confused again. Like, wait a minute. Is this thing scripted? Because that sounds very scripted.
It sounds very, very interesting. Vertigo is saying, I'm betting Ben won't give that distance.
Yeah, he's calling you out. He's basically saying that's reverse psychology there.
Is that because Vertigo thinks he's sent something what he thinks is a correct solve? And if I give the actual correct distance, he can then jerry-rig this into a solution and know exactly what it is I'm saying. Is that what Vertigo is trying?
Well, let me ask you this. Has the poem been solved at this time?
No.
Then Vertigo sent you the wrong solve. There's still a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance.
Dumb and Dumber Gifts also took over the Discord.
Yeah.
And I think it was Mylon who was saying, let me we still haven't gotten to the fucking all right, hold on. YouTube. Sorry, Cavalry. Listen, lots of fun things happening, Cavalry. Maybe you guys should try to solve my poem.
This is all related because Cavalry's talking about other treasure hunts in this podcast. So we're just demonstrating other treasure hunts that Cavalry could have maybe talked about but didn't.
His hand fell off. Yeah, he was pretty old.
This sounds like.
Is this where the bird's head fell off?
That's it. I've had it with this stuff. We got no food, we got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off. Okay, just calm down. What the hell are we doing here, Harry? We gotta get out of this town. Gotta go where? Where are we gonna go? I'll tell you where. Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like wine. where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called Aspen.
Where the women flow like the salmon of Capistrano.
Where the beer flows like wine.
Where the beer flows like wine. Or however it go. My God. That gal's dangerous.
This poem might be inspired by Dumb and Dumber.
The Impossible poem might be inspired by Dumb and Dumber.
I like it.
Copyright. Whatever. It's not. I'm kidding. All right,
Ben's not going to give that distance. He would have given it already if he was going to.
I'm thinking about it.
Well, give it some time. Think about it. Yeah.
If no, what I've been thinking over is if no one gets this by the end of this search season, right? We go into wintertime and I close off the search. I will be closing the search when I hear of like road closures, snowfalls anywhere in Colorado. It's not going to give away the location, but if I hear weather has turned in Colorado and it's just not feasible, and I'm going to be paying attention to everywhere in Colorado, then I'm going to close the search. That'll probably be like October 1. Who knows? And at that point in time, I was thinking, okay, then I will release a relative distance. But then, what is if that inspires someone to go get it during the winter? Guess what? If you get it during the winter, you're disqualified. Ooh, let's do that.
Yeah.
If you, I'm going to put that on the blog. If you get it during the winter time, great, you're disqualified. What does that mean, Jeremy? It means I hate you. There's nothing I can do.
Right.
You got fucking flies.
So wait a minute. There's no proxy item in this. There's only So what if they go and get it in the wintertime and just leave with it?
There's nothing I can do. I'm going to close the search. If you decide to go get it during winter, you're a fucking idiot, and that's all there is to it.
So how much does weather, like, are we talking about, like, are you willing to say that it's in the really nice part of Colorado where it's all mountainous, or do you mean that it could be in the flat area of Colorado that people who live there don't really want to live there and they just can't afford to move up into the mountains?
Right. It's anywhere in Colorado. And weather affects all portions of Colorado. I know this because I lived in Boulder. Vertigo.
Oh, no, wait. Physics tells you that weather affects Colorado.
I wanted to do the physics and I just forgot it. Yes, physics tells me Colorado can get wet.
Yeah.
Vertigo asks, will the box of flies be weather protected, which is what we're talking about? And I will say, yes, the box will be as weather protected as I can physically fucking make it. And I stand behind my work.
But otherwise, they're flies, so who cares if they get wet?
That was a Dumb and Dumber reference, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Remember, okay. Oh, no, don't. Oh, okay, me. Here we go. Hold on. I know it's in here. I stand behind my work, dumb, and it's got to be a clip. I spelled Dumb and Dumber wrong, but okay, all right. Dog, mobile, dumb, and dumb. Yeah, here we go.
All right.
It's got to be on this somewhere. Oh shit! It ends right when the. Okay, so fuck. Wait, hold on. Wait. I take that back. That was the limo arriving. No, see, the dogs all get fucked up.
Right.
Harry gets out and he goes, and I stand behind my work, and he shows because he's a groomer, and then all the dogs have like mustard and fucking ketchup all over them and blah 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 blah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Point is.
Okay. So like what? 45 minutes in, let's talk about Calvary.
Let's talk about it. Let's do it. All right, here we go. Episode 4, The Home of Brown.
All right, and I'll do my timeout if I want you to pause it for a moment.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to leave the X marks the spot logo on there longer because I used to be in the business and I haven't pressed play on this fucking thing yet, and we're 40 What? What the fuck time is it?
But we're talking about treasure hunts. That's what this
45
podcast
minutes
talks about.
in. All right, let's go.
All right.
Well, there's no news tonight.
There's no
So-
news.
There's no need. Anyway.
First time listening, I strongly recommend going back to episode 1, Where Warm Waters Halt, to
How's the
listen to
audio?
the story from the beginning. Okay, here's the show.
Cavalry audio.
I am the beginning of eternity, followed by half a circle, close on by half a square. Through my fourth, my fifth is seen, to be the first in every pair. My sixth begins my seventh, the end of time and space. Now put my parts together to see what's taken place. In the summer of 1979, 31 years before Forrest Fenn would bury his cache of gold and jewels somewhere in the Rocky Mountains.
How many years?
I think 30 something. 30.
79. 31 years before
31
30.
years. How many fishing flies are in the case remaining for people to find?
Oh,
Fenn would bury his cache of gold.
the universe is messing with us again.
An unknown artist, author, poet, and goldsmith published an astonishing book. This book would spawn not only an entirely new genre in the world of publishing, it would create the first known treasure hunt that invited anyone and everyone to participate. You just had to get your hands on the book and be incredibly smart. Really, really smart.
So go ahead and pause it there for a second.
Fuck you! No.
Welcome back to X Marks.
Oh, I thought they were going to do the whole song. I wanted the whole
Yeah.
song.
No, I don't want you to pause on that song. I love that song. I just wanted to point out that they started off with this quote from The Masquerade. And to be honest with you, that's a lot better than Forrest Fenn's poem itself was. And like, I like that quote from The Masquerade because like, to me, it sounded a little bit like the Musgrave ritual from Sherlock Holmes. Are you familiar with that at all? Yeah.
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay. So you got like this riddle that was never meant to be a riddle. It was just instructions for finding a treasure chest. But then over time, people forgot what it was all about. And that's what that opening clip sounded like to me. And Forrest Fenn's, is kind of suffering a little bit and doesn't have that kind of, it's not as good of a riddle is what I'm trying to get at.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And who cares? Yes. By the way, guys, yes, we always have a leak for the next episode every time we do this. But for who cares, what we do is we do a review of last week's episode, and then we drop the leak that we have for tomorrow's episode. That's kind of the format we've gone with. Also, I wanted to maybe have the live chat showing up. I don't know if you can see it. I'm sure I watch sometimes on my Xbox on TV, so I can see everything that happens on screen on these streams. But like if you're watching on your phone, maybe it's too small. I don't know. But I always want to keep an eye on what's happening in that chat. I don't think anybody's fucking doing the chat because they're just kind of listening, like because it's a book on tape almost. You're just kind of listening. You don't want to engage. But anyway, I thought maybe we'll pay attention to chat every now and again when we press play.
Okay, cool.
Also, anything else? No, the thought that was his leak. Yeah, no, the leak will come. Trust me.
The spot. You're listening to episode 4, Put In Below the Home of Brown.
I fucking love that music.
Yeah, I love it too.
The book was called Masquerade and was created by a man named Kit Williams. Mr. Williams was an artist in his early 30s when he was approached by a friend in the publishing business who issued him a challenge. Do something that's never been done with a picture book. Challenge accepted. What Williams would create would indeed be unique, and the legacy would be lasting. He crafted his book around a simple story, a fairy tale actually. The sun has fallen in love with the moon, and he's heartbroken. He feels his affections to be unrequited, because whenever he tries to approach the moon, her light dims, and she slowly disappears. Desperate for help, the son employed.
I mean, he brings up. I'm gonna pause it. He brings up a moon there. I mean,
Yeah.
is this the obvious allusions to the fact that we're looking up at a crescent moon in the thrill of the chase? And it's like, okay, there's connections. They're not real connections, but like you can see how treasure hunts like to kind of reach into the mystical.
Yeah.
Look at the heavens kind of thing. It's a wish. It's a grasp at straws. It's a life is down, or life is boring, or fuck, I have everything I want, but I still want more. That's kind of what a treasure hunt is. And there's always feels like there's some kind of mystical level to a good treasure hunt.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a question of whether or not Forrest Fenn was aware of the masquerade. I think maybe he said he wasn't. I don't know if anybody ever asked him really, but that seems to ring a bell. But, you know, it did happen at the time when he was opening an art gallery, and he was dealing in sculptures of, you know, bronze, but not gold. But the prize in this particular treasure hunt was a sculpted piece of like gold. Or yeah, I think it was like gold. And it was a big phenomenon, like they talk about in here. It was a huge thing. I don't know how Forrest could have escaped hearing about that. It probably would have filtered down to him. I don't know if it was as influential as maybe they make it out to be, but you know, just think in the back of his head as he's thinking about things.
Put yourself in Forrest's shoes. It's 2009, let's say, right before he's about to, you know, publish or whatnot. It's still in 2010, right before he's about to publish. You don't think he just at least double checks to see if anything like this has happened before, that he can learn from, that he can steal from? I mean, it feels like, of course, he had to at least look at this. Now, I know Jack says Forrest shows no influence from anything other than a pirate treasure hunt. Fine, sure, great. But just because Forrest doesn't write about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist in his mind.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and I was going to get to that a little bit later on, but I mean, at some point, the idea to have a treasure hunt in a book, you know, like, because we're not talking about, he didn't publish a map at first. He didn't do like a Goonies thing where it was all like on some treasure map or anything like that. He literally made it in the form of a book. And at some point, something had to have inspired that. You know, he didn't come up with that on his own. Whether it's the Masquerade, which was a popular one of our times, or, you know, they're going to talk about another one here that goes back even further. At some point, the idea to put his treasure hunt in a book had to cement itself in the back of his head. So where that inspiration comes from, I don't know, but this was the big one. You know, the Masquerade was huge.
It is, and obviously Cavalry will get deeper into Masquerade, and I can just say, listen, I thought, you know, I wasn't going to do one for this stupid little thing, but a book seems, you know, extra. But at the same way, I think just the fact that you would write a book is telling your audience, hey, you might want to learn more about me. You might want to figure me out.
Right.
Rather than just releasing a poem. If he didn't want you to learn about him, if he didn't want you to figure him out and to see through whatever veil / con / grift / scheme / venture he's on, he wants you to see the real person. I don't know that anyone has publicly been able to say who the fuck Forrest Fenn really is. So, anyway. All right.
Boys, his trusted friends from Earth, the frog and the hare. He turns to the frog for his wisdom, and the frog suggests a gift. A beautiful token of his affection would get the message across to the moon, and the two could be together. The sun agrees, borrows some gold from the light of the breaking dawn, and fashions a beautiful rabbit, encrusted with diamonds and jewels, and entrusts it to his other earthly friend, Jack Hare, so chosen for his speed and ability.
Which, by the way, Jack Herrera is a great weed strand. Just saying.
Comes to the delivery of important things. So off goes the hare with the priceless treasure that will announce to the moon the undying affection of the sun, and they'll all live happily ever after.
Hey, me, Quinn.
The only problem is, when Jack arrives at the moon, he realizes he's lost the golden rabbit. It then becomes the job of the reader to decipher 15 beautifully rendered and incredibly intricate illustrations in the book, as well as solve several riddles.
The artwork in that is pretty good.
Was true.
And I gotta say, when he says illustrations here, you know, Alan and I have been clear we used illustrations in our solve for ha ha ha. And Forrest, on the one released clip from Jack Stoof of an interview with Forrest Fenn, the one Jack puts his name behind, is in that interview. Forrest Fenn talks about how the illustrations and pictures are important.
Right. Yeah, I had that in my notes too. I mean, there's a lot of debate over whether or not Forrest Fenn's book is a treasure hunt book. And the reason why is because of something Jack Stoof actually said himself, where he's like, you know, a lot of people approach Forrest Fenn's, treasure hunt as a treasure hunt like the Masquerade or the Secret or any of these other treasure hunts that were out there. And, you know, his approach was to like, fuck that noise. I'm just going to do something else. And, you know, it worked out for him. But that was a big question. The question is, you know, is this a treasure hunt book or is it just a memoir? And if it's a treasure hunt book, you know, what is?
Can I ask you again? And this is a basic question I would ask people in the beginning. Jack Stoof found it, allegedly. Jack Stoof was an anonymous person when he found it. The first post he gave us was as an anonymous person. And he's telling us he's keeping the secret. He's not going to fucking tell us where it is.
Right.
So don't we think that Jack Stoof, who can understand how to dissect a puzzle, riddle, poem creator, whatever you want to call it, don't you think he's astute enough to understand that the community he came from would dissect his every word? Maybe Forrest didn't realize it as much as he should have, but Jack does. And so is it possible that Jack just puts us on false fucking dummy trails all over the place? I'm talking Hardy Boys shit.
Yeah, it could be. It's just really striking the difference. So like there in this podcast, they talk about the similarities, which I appreciate. Like I said, at some point, Forrest Fenn was inspired to do this. He had to get his inspiration from somewhere. It may have been the Masquerade. It may have been any of these other treasure hunts. It may have been a treasure hunt from like back in the day, which they're going to talk about. But it's interesting the differences between the Masquerade and Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt as well, because like, and you'll hear about them here in a moment. Like one is the Masquerade says, "Hey, send me your solve and I'll tell you if you won." That is a lot different than Forrest Fenn's. You know, Forrest Fenn.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I don't know. Could you imagine Forrest Fenn getting an email for every crazy person who had a solve, because we all had one, you know?
Well, Forrest Fenn put his email out there.
He did. He did.
And in the last page 328 of Ha Ha Ha, the author says, "Please send me your solve to P.O. Box 687, which of course matches the P.O. Box 687 of the dude. So
right.
Again, if Ha 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 is involved, then yeah, Forrest Fenn did it. And yeah, maybe Forrest Fenn was inspired. All weird adds up. Let me show you a picture that Packer Jack just sent me. Okay.
All right. You know, I don't know if Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt was inspired by the Masquerade, but certainly Ha 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 was. You know, Ha 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 was definitely inspired, because that came out in what, 1984? I mean, that was
there's a lot of weird things about Ha Ha Ha. It was there's a copyright date of 1978 and a publishing date of 1983.
1978. So they're trying to claim that they preceded the Masquerade.
Correct. And do you know why 1978 is important to the Forrest Fenn world?
I don't know. What am I looking at here?
This is an image from Masquerade matching an image that Forrest took and made as an illustration in his book.
Ah.
So maybe Cavalry's onto something.
I thought the Masquerade was a children's book with cutesy rabbits and toads and stuff.
Let me.
This might be from a movie Masquerade or something like
Ben
that.
added the stripes here. The picture is from Kit's Masquerade. That's what Packer Jack told me. So there it is.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
By the way, 1978. That's when Skippy died.
Hmm.
When you, by the way, Jeremy, think about that.
Yes.
1978 is when Skippy died.
Yes.
Two can keep a secret if one of them is dead.
One of them died, so now they can publish their book. I get it. Yeah.
It's weird how it all works out. Anyway.
Indeed.
All right. Back to the show.
Literary phenomenon that held the public's attention for years.
But I will say, adding the stripes on the shirt, I agree. There's an homage there to Masquerade. And I think Cavalry knows what they're talking about when they bring up Masquerade here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good observation. I like that.
Yep.
Years. It's no exaggeration to say that without Kit Williams and his fairy tale treasure hunt, there would be no Forrest Fenn.
That's probably true.
We printed 60,000 copies, which for an unknown book by an unknown artist is pretty amazing. And what happened, it went mad, completely crazy. We thought we were bound to have enough till Christmas. And we reprinted a further 50,000 the day after publication. And 3 days later, yet another 50,000. I really never...
You know, I only printed, I wanted to print 500 copies of The Thrill of the Chase because, you know, my mom wouldn't even buy my own book. But we ended up printing 1,000. And then you know what happened? It's the darndest thing. I ended up printing like 3,000 more, and then I printed like 6,000 more, and then, you know, 78 million people bought it, and tourism increased by about 7,500% in New Mexico.
Sounds familiar.
seen a book like it.
Masquerade was the first of what came to be known as armchair treasure hunt books. Basically, an intellectual exercise that, if you were clever enough, you might be able to figure out the clues and puzzles in a book and then actually get off the couch and go dig it up in the real world. Kit Williams offered the following deal. If you think you know where the golden hair is hidden, send proof. It would only require a few words for him to know that his puzzle had been solved. And he would send you a plane ticket from anywhere in the world, and you could go claim the prize.
I mean, that's a little bit different.
I mean, that is saying that there's some kind of solve from the armchair that is worthy enough to know that you should send to the creator to go, ship me my money, right?
Yeah. Well, no, he wants you to, he's going to send you a plane ticket so that you can fly out there and dig it up yourself. I mean, that's the way they did it back in the early 80s. You know?
Apparently. I'm not going to be sending anyone any plane tickets if they think they figured my shit out.
Yeah.
My poem requires you to go to the spot and blah, blah, blah. So interesting. But you know what? It's the 80s.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
It's a lot different.
The book was an instant hit and would eventually sell more than 2 million copies. And what's more, it ignited a human passion that had, for the general public, lay dormant for centuries. Treasure hunts. Here's treasure hunter Allison Teal, the woman Time magazine describes as the female Indiana Jones.
Oh, I'll pause it for a second.
You know, waking up in a
The female Indiana Jones, wouldn't that be Laura Croft? So, like, I like this lady. This is the first time I ever heard of. Have you ever heard of this lady before?
I had not.
Okay, Allison Teal. I had no idea, but they described her as the female Indiana Jones, so I went looking her up, and she really is. Like, that's something that Time magazine described her as. I was kind of curious, why didn't they describe her as Laura Croft? It's because Time magazine actually called her the female Indiana Jones. But like, if you're okay with that, I'm going to actually link to her website, because this is a lady. Yeah, this is a lady that you should follow just because she's an adventurer for real. And, you know, I think that she's kind of cool. I started following her and everything. So as you're listening to her interview, just realize, you know, this is the lady you should follow if you're. Huh?
Is she alive?
Yeah, absolutely. She's still
I want her
around.
on the show. I want her on the show immediately. Like now. Where is she? Is she the rest of this podcast?
Yeah, I don't know how she became a person that they chose to interview for this podcast. Like, I had never heard of her before, but apparently she's pretty big. She's been on Oprah. She's been like, they've written about her in Time magazine. She's
Listen, Oprah has a lot of things. She gives away a bunch, but she's retired. She's done. She has a channel. It doesn't do anything. Who watches OWN? Is OWN even a thing anymore? Listen, Oprah, I love you, but I need Allison to come onto the show
yeah, Allison seems really cool.
so I can just talk treasure hunting and Indiana Jones shit. Like now.
Exactly. She's given TED Talks on this. You know,
Love it.
If you're into adventuring, she's the person to follow. It's really cool.
All right.
Tents or on a dugout canoe going down the Amazon. Or, you know, my dad's like, when I'm 7, he's like, okay, it's time to climb Mount Everest. And I'm like, okay, Papa, you know, that's what everybody does, right? And so it was just kind of this wild whirlwind of adventure. The way that he would keep me going is treasure. Like in Peru, for example, the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. You know, so as a baby, I'd be like camping out in Machu Picchu, and I'm little, right? I'm tiny, maybe 3-4 years old, and we're trekking miles and miles a day. So he'd tell me of ancient legends of, you know, the lost trip.
Yo, this is crazy. This is the kind of thing that makes me want to cry. Only 'cause I did this with my daughter. This is dope.
Yeah.
Wow.
Treasure of Paititi was just around the corner. So I'd keep going and I'd keep going, and I just wanted to find the treasure. And as I got older, I realized that, you know, a lot of these things are real. Some of it's myth and magical and fun, and some of it's, you know, incredible treasures and trove and people and wisdom and sites, archaeological sites. You know, everything across the board can become a treasure. And so I've really based my life around finding these treasures, but not only finding treasures, but also what their meaning is, and bringing that back to the world to help with, you know, modern day solutions. There's a lot.
What their meaning is. What is the meaning of the treasure is a question that I don't think enough people ask, Jeremy. And without doing that, I'm pretty sure that's what I've been trying to ask this community since day one. Yeah, okay, it's a box of gold. Got it. He didn't just do this for his health. There's a secret story. I didn't call it a fucking secret story. He called it a secret story.
Yeah, and
he said his family didn't know what was in there. Sorry, Jeremy.
No, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. Like, that's one of the things that, I mean, maybe it's the lawsuits, maybe it's just Jack didn't feel like saying much, but, you know, he answered a few emails, he put out that remembrance article, but there's so much more that we were hoping to get out of this, which is the continuation of the Forrest Fenn story. What was this all for? What was, you know, part of it's like the location, the solution to the poem. People cared about that kind of stuff, obviously. But there's also like, what did Forrest Fenn really want to convey through this treasure hunt? And I feel like that information was supposed to be in that olive jar that Jack never opened, if you're to believe the story. That's the kind of stuff that we wanted to know. You know, that's the kind of stuff that we were, I mean, we weren't promised it because, like, obviously it was meant for the finder, but that's the kind of stuff that we hope to learn in this.
Yeah, I was expecting to anyway. Quark,
yeah,
Quacker Speckle is saying, Jeremy, you are correct to question. Masquerade did not include the image that Ben put up moments ago.
I didn't think so. I don't know where Pack and Jack got that. It might be from a movie or something.
Good to know. Good to know. Preston's daughter can say the same. Fuck, yeah, I bet she can. Yeah. I mean, I only know that Preston has a family, but I can only assume that Doug would take... All he does on Facebook is post images of amazing places in our country. Very close-up spots, very wide shot. It doesn't matter. He knows. I would love to go hiking with Doug Preston, my God. Anyway, yeah. Let's get back to it.
Yeah.
Lot that can be found in ancient times that can help with modern day solutions.
The movie.
And seemingly overnight, the world became enthralled with trying to figure out the secret that, according to Williams, lay in plain sight within the pages of his book.
Okay, so Forrest took, let me just make this clear. So Forrest took an image from a movie called Masquerade Forrest is a treasure hider, he's making an allusion to the Masquerade treasure hunt by using an image from the movie Masquerade. Now, if you can't follow that ABC step there, okay, I'm a crazy person, or maybe you're just not equipped.
So this is Ben taking an idea and just stretching it.
Not a stretch. It's not a stretch, Armstrong. Forrest could pick an image from any movie he wanted to. He picked one from something called Masquerade. That's intent when you have a treasure hunt called Masquerade, in my book.
I mean, yeah, but all he did was add stripes to the guy, you know? Like,
he still took the image verbatim in image form. Listen, all right, fine. Let me retract the word. What did I say? It's not 100%. I think you could defend that point if you had other evidence to support it, not just that. So you'd need more homages to Masquerade in order to prove that point. But you're on your journey, I think. Fuck you.
He was receiving hundreds of letters a day from desperate treasure seekers from across the globe, begging for clues or offering half-baked solutions that completely missed the mark.
You know, I think treasure hunting has become this intrigue, and sometimes it's like, you know, people will stop at nothing to achieve this. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's, you know, wanting to step outside the mundane, perhaps, of what their life is at that point, or maybe it's an inner treasure quest, and sometimes, you know, it's really about the journey and it's not about finding it. But whatever it is, I've noticed that there can become an obsession with finding something.
However, a year and a half into the hunt, and with no one even coming close, Kit Williams decided to publish a major clue in the Sunday Times. Very much in the Kit Williams style, it revolved around a beautiful drawing, but it didn't seem to be much of a clue. Eventually, it was figured out that the drawing needed to be cut out of the newspaper, folded in half, and viewed in a mirror while shining a flashlight through it.
That sounds familiar.
The word backwards, but to see the drawing in reverse. Fun, right?
That sounds a lot like your solve there, Ben.
I'm sorry, what are you speaking of?
I'm talking about folding things and shining flashlights to it. That's got your name written all over it.
It's not my fault when you put a flashlight behind the fucking turtle dove and the moon. It says the word father, and you do the same thing on the shrunk image at the beginning of the section, because I don't call them chapters. The same thing happens. It's over the word father. I don't know.
All right. So now your stretched idea is becoming a little more taut, because I mean, the Masquerade is about the moon and stuff. Maybe there was a lot more inspiration taken from the Masquerade than what you were letting on earlier. I'm starting to like this a little bit.
All I'm asking for is let's look for other confirmers, and then let's understand why he's alluding to Masquerade. We know he has a treasure hunt. Why did you do the treasure hunt? Well, my daughters don't know who Clark Gable is. I want to get people off the couch. I lost 22 pounds and didn't know it. Okay. Whoa. Why did you do this? Is it the Masquerade? Did the Masquerade wake you up and all of a sudden you wanted to hide what you had found? Or did Masquerade provide you the loophole to say, aha, this is a treasure hunt about me, Forrest Fenn, but there's a secret story about me you don't know, and I might have masqueraded as someone.
All right, so you had, and now it's like right back out. Like you're expanding and contracting here.
I'm just saying. It's like the hijacker using Dan Cooper when planning to parachute out of a plane, when the character Dan Cooper parachuted out of planes.
Yeah.
And the character is in a comic book. Ask yourself this, Jeremy. Why was Forrest Fenn ever asked the question, what do you call comic books? Do we think that's a normal question? Do we think that's a question a normal searcher would ask? Or perhaps did he plant that question? What do you call comic books? I call them funny books.
Right.
Ha, ha, ha. Funny. Funny books. Ha ha ha. The inspiration for Dan Cooper comes from a comic book, a funny book. And so Forrest, when he writes his treasure hunting book, Ha 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 by D.B. Cooper, Follow 7 Clues, he calls it Ha 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 because it's based on a comic book, which is a funny book. You have to follow that train or you'll get lost. You have to. And that's train track developed so that you get lost, so that you don't stay on the train. But if you do, it's one wild ride.
Now, he may have actually been asked, what do you call it, a comic book or something like that, just because he actually published a scrapbook with comic books in it.
Sure. Or he published the scrapbooks with comic books in it so that he could ask that question.
My dogs are wrestling.
Solve the riddle. Here it is.
Here it is.
To do my work, I appointed 4 men from 20, the tallest and the fattest, and the righteous follow the sinister. Huh? On the surface, it seems to make no sense at all. But when you know what the solution to the book is, you realize that it is the solution to the book. Even crazier, this maniac Kit Williams tells you basically the same thing on the title page of Masquerade. Again, in verse. Within the pages of this book, there is a story told of love, adventure, fortunes lost, and a jewel of solid gold. To solve the hidden riddle, you must use your eyes and find the hair in every picture that may point you to the prize. I know. And no one could solve this. This is the book's author, Kit Williams, in a clip from a BBC special that highlighted his life and his work.
So I thought, if I've got the 15 pictures that are going to be in the book, and there's something in those pictures which refers to a sentence, so that the sentence describes exactly where the jewel is buried.
If I have a sentence in the book correlating with a picture that refers to the sentence, or if I have a picture in the book that correlates with the sentence, whoa, hold on. Dad standing with his brown trout right in front of Fenn Rock. If I have a picture in the book correlating with a sentence, home of Brown, Dad standing in front of Fenn Rock with brown trout. I offer you a better home of Brown than Cynthia Meacham with Mr. Brown. I offer you Fenn Rock is home of Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that a lot of people do think that, like, contrary to what they're going to talk about here in a little bit, a lot of people do think that Home of Brown is referring to the Rock and not some Mr. Brown fish. I want to point out,
we reject Mr. Brown.
Yeah, we reject Mr. Brown. There is no Mr. Yeah, if there was ever a Mr. Brown,
no,
Mr. Brown's dead. Let him go.
Yeah, we're done.
I do want to
on this channel.
I do want to point out that they were talking about, like the hand, or maybe they'll get more into it here in a moment, but they're talking about the fingers pointing to various things, and that's part of the solve. That was part of my solve too. Like, I so thought that the boys playing marbles pointing at the lead marble was part of the solution. Like,
did you ever zoom in? I know you had the AB Braille thing from there. I get that, and I love that. Did you ever zoom in on all the marbles? Like, just like take a picture with your phone and then zoom in on the actual image and just see what it really, really, really can look like up close. One of the marbles looks like a smiley face.
Smiley face, yeah, absolutely.
Is that the blaze?
I mean, I don't know. So, like in my solve, the AB was part of a tree blaze, but it was also directional. There was a cliff, not a cliff, but a ridge on the hillside nearby that was kind of shaped like an L, and he made like a lot of references to L's in his scrapbooks as well. So
wait, hold on. No, Jeremy, I'm gonna interrupt you because it's my show. If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down your quest to see. They're looking quickly down. They're all pointing down. So the blaze is up. They're all looking quickly down. And what are they pointing down at? The marble, which is a smiley face. If you've been wise and found the blaze, what are you going to do first? Smile. Your instant reaction when you find a solution to a puzzle is, smile. So a smile at the bottom of this illustration shows you've solved something right above it. So then the blaze has to be above the smiley face with which they're pointing. Dude, I fucking love that. I don't know about y'all, but fuck, that's good.
Yeah, mine had nothing to do with any of that. Mine was the shape of the ridge that I was talking about. The smiley face is where the tree blaze was, and you were supposed to go up and to the left to the end of the ridge, which is where the boys would be pointing at. That's what I had interpreted.
All right, that's
of course
a little more.
It's not in Wyoming, so it doesn't matter. But I thought it was pretty creative.
No, I like it. I like it. I do like it. Or it's an A/B thing, and there's a blaze on one thing that you look at, but it's not the blaze, but it tells you what the blaze is, and then your blaze is X amount of feet elsewhere, which I've seen talked about in chat in the Discord. Something on that oil tree told you what to look for, 200 feet away.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still interested in ideas of how like Braille can have something to do with the location that we've got. But I feel like I'll be waiting a long time until until somebody opens that jar and tells the olive jar and tells us what Forrest's actual solution was. I feel like I'm just going to keep waiting, and I'm cool with that.
Brian Gates says the boys pointing the marbles is a big clue to the special places. Oops, did I just say that? Oh no!
I mean, I felt so. To me, they're pointing at it, and that's A/B and Braille, and Braille is really hinted at in Teachers with Ropes. To me, it's like, how is this not part of the solution? I have no idea. Well, I'm willing to wait a decade or more before answers to that comes out.
Fair enough. Brian, okay, Larry says Mysterious Writings has an interesting correspondence between Allison and F.
I mean, if you look at Allison's website, you can kind of see why Forrest took such an interest.
Pressing play.
But you can't get that sentence without understanding the pictures.
A few years into the hunt, however, Mr. Williams received a sketch in the mail.
Okay, so we're at 9 minutes, 36 seconds, okay? Right. I have to pee because I've been drinking beer. I drank one beer before we started. So here's the thing. I can either continue this on this is going off my web I don't have any money invested in this. There's a fucking camera right here and it has speakers. I can keep this as is. You can press play on yours if you'd like to, and then pause and keep, as you prefer while I'm gone for the next 5 minutes so that you don't miss a spot, because I feel like every time I do this, I've looked back once. I never look back at my own shows. I've looked back once, and on one of these, I could see that you wanted to fucking say something because I wasn't there. It was just a thought that got lost into the ether. So I don't want to lose your thoughts because I value your opinion. That's why you're on my show all the fucking time, man. I value your opinion. I love you.
Thanks.
So can it be done? Can you just do it from your screen and press play into the audio and we hear it and it's all good? Can we just try that just to see what happens? And let the audience tell if the audio is good or not.
Let me go find it real quick and we can try.
Here's the problem. My phone.
You know what?
My phone is dead, so I need to plug my phone back in.
Yeah.
And go to the bathroom, and I'm hoping both can be. Oh, see, I got the battery symbol. Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Go handle your business. I'll fill the air. You're good.
But do you want me to just press play, or can you do it?
No, you're fine. I'll just talk. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I feel like I'm leaving a kid alone at a water park, and I'm going to regret it. But all right.
Yeah, okay. I got this.
Okay. Wait. Are you sure? Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now that he's gone, we can figure out where these bronze jars are. I feel like we can figure this out while he's gone. Because here's the thing. So they talked about it a little bit, and I had in my notes, and I brought it up earlier, and we kind of glossed over it. But the thing is, there is this big question about whether or not The Thrill of the Chase was a treasure hunt book, and I feel like it was. Jack Stoof didn't. Jack Stoof didn't need to. Jack Stoof was happy enough to just go directly to the home of Brown and cross the river and go dig up a treasure chest. He didn't care what the solve was. Jack, I'm talking to you out there. You know how I feel about this. You can come on. You can correct me. I challenge you to, tell me where I'm wrong. But I mean, if you watch his confirmation bias video, he just didn't care about solving this poem at all. So now it's left to us. Was it a treasure hunt book or was it not a treasure hunt book? I feel like it was. There's some mysteries still in there, I think. Forrest Fenn himself, he said, those illustrations could be used to solve something. And Jack Stoof's version of things, he didn't really use these illustrations to solve anything. So, what's those illustrations about? Maybe it's about finding a jar. Maybe it's about solving some other mystery. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just saying that it's probably a treasure hunt book. There's probably clues in those chapters. There's probably clues in his scrapbooks. He wrote a lot of weird stuff, and if they, a lot of that weird stuff in the scrapbook is probably a hint or a clue to something. I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I too far off here? Or do you guys think that there's like some other mystery out there for us to solve in this treasure hunt book? Because that's how I'm feeling it. I think it's a treasure hunt book. I think Jack Stoof's wrong. There's more to find than just this treasure chest. There's a story out there that we're missing 100%. Because it's not all about the treasure. It's not all about the solution to the poem. There's this mystery that makes up Forrest Fenn. Forrest Fenn is not a straightforward guy. He's not a straightforward character. He may have wrote a poem that is straightforward, that leads to a straightforward treasure chest at a straightforward Wyoming location. But the guy was like so full of mystery and intrigue, and like he had so many stories. How could all those stories come down to this one location up in Wyoming? Why even make those jars? Why make those jars and put his autobiography in them and then just put them out there and not hint to where they are? It's a treasure hunt book. It really is. William Sparks got it. He says it right there in the chat. If you don't believe me, believe William Sparks, whoever he is. It's a treasure hunting book. There is more out there to find. So we were talking about earlier about the Braille thing. Go and read Teachers with Ropes, and you come back and you tell me whether or not he's hinting at blind and finding things through other senses. And then if you don't come away thinking Braille might be involved with that, go look at that marble illustration. Go look at the shape of those boys' bodies, where one looks like an A and the other looks like a B, and they're pointing at an A and B and Braille, and you tell me that this is not a treasure hunt book. This is totally a treasure hunt book. Now, is it a treasure hunt book like The Masquerade is? No, probably not. Masquerade's mostly illustrations. It's like The Secret. The Secret is almost predominantly illustrations, and then you have some verses that go along with the illustration. It's very, very illustration focused. This book has a few illustrations in it. Are the illustrations just there to highlight the story and kind of like, provide a little bit extra to the story? Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe there's a puzzle there. I don't know. Oh, Ben's back, so we have to stop talking now.
Here's what's happened since I left. The viewers went up.
Hell yeah, they do. Whenever I start talking, they go up.
All right. Anything pertinent I should know about, or should we just press on?
No, we got it all figured out. Like we done solved this thing.
When you talk, because like my phone's dead. I can't hear what you're saying. I tried to open up the screen door over there, and I couldn't hear shit. So it's kind of funny when I can't hear what the shit you're talking about. I don't know if you're talking about jars and trying to give away my jar solves. I don't know if you're talking about my poem. I don't know if you're talking about just Forrest Fenn stuff.
No, we're just talking about the book and how it's 100% a treasure hunting book, and Jack Stoof was wrong.
It is.
Yeah, I issued another invitation to Jack. Jack come on here, tell us where we're wrong. But right now, I think it's the treasure hunt book.
Brandon Chestnut. Who the fuck is that? Is that a poker player? Hold on. Brandon Chestnut.
I don't know. He wants you to get Pam on the show.
It sounds like a poker player. I'm not even kidding. If that's not a poker player, it should be Brandon Chestnut, you should be a poker player. Just for the record. That's a great poker player name. All right,
That's
anyway.
a good name.
Sherry, he told us all your secrets. Ah, son of a bitch. Don't get my flies.
Sorry.
Don't get my flies. They're my flies.
For now.
Unmistakable location, and he knew in a moment that someone had figured
Joey's
it out.
brother.
My wife came down to make the tea and get the letters. She looked at all the Americans and said, "Oh, we do them tonight sometime." Looked through the other letters. There were some bills. There were letters from people who write every day. You get to know their writing and everything. And there was just one letter that just was.
People are writing him actual
Right.
snail mail letters every day. And you're telling me Forrest didn't understand what he was doing by putting his phone number and email into the treasure hunting book? Oh,
Yeah, so Forrest wanted correspondence, obviously, but also like he wouldn't accept just somebody telling him where the spot is like a convincing solution to it. Which I don't know.
Right.
There's differences between the two.
I asked in my poem, listen, if you're from outside the country, you can solve this if you send me every single piece of evidence you can to prove a solve. Good luck. Otherwise, it's boots on the ground.
I'll tell you one thing Forrest ain't going to do. He's not going to sit there and fly you out there to pick up the treasure chest. He wouldn't even give that one lady like a ride when her truck broke down.
No. And Doug had to go to someone's property to search for them on their property, if we buy that story.
Everyday letter. So she brought it up, and I was lying in bed and opened it up. And there in the letter, a very simple, lovely little letter, was almost a childlike map. And that map was describing exactly where the jewel was. And then there was a man's telephone number. I rang him up and said, "You've got it."
True to his word, he invited this man to the secret location to claim his prize. Only something seemed off, because it was. Sadly, this beautiful and noble endeavor would be stained by scandal.
Something's off. Because it was.
Yeah.
There are enough people in this chase, not psychopaths, not people who think they have solves and they're right and no one else is. There are enough people who have removed themselves from the conclusion to say, well, hold on, let me just go back to our narrator.
Secret location to claim his prize. Only something seemed off.
Something seems off.
Yeah. And, I'm sorry, but in the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt, I know it wasn't intended this way. Forrest, went to great lengths to make it not scandalous. But he also kind of made it scandalous. There's some scandal to this ending, whether we want there to be or not. It's just the way it landed. If you read those emails between Jack and Forrest, like an unbiased person standing on the sidelines could not read those emails and be like, "Oh, wow, this is totally inappropriate. What's going on in these emails?" I'm sorry. It's just the way it went.
It was. Sadly, this beautiful and noble endeavor would be stained by scandal. It seems that who had claimed to solve the puzzle, in fact, had some inside information. He happened to be dating the ex-girlfriend of Kit Williams, the woman Williams was involved with when he created the book, when he created the Golden Rabbit, and of course, when he went on his expedition to...
So here's what I take from this, Jeremy. Here's what I take from this. I was worried, learning from the Masquerade, and as Forrest should have learned himself, just in case, oh God, the ex might fuck it all up. And so what you might be wondering is, well, Ben, what do you do? What do you do to combat that? Here's what I did. I gave a year time limit on it because there's no fucking guarantee Ashley's going to keep me around and I got to work my ass off to stay with her. Who knows what could fucking happen? So we made it a 1 year time limit.
So hold on, wait. This is important before you hit play again. So you're saying that your poem is not only impossible, it's Ashley dumping you proof. Like she might dump you later and then tell us where it's at. I like it.
For now, I might take her to the spot when I hide the loot. But I don't know if I'll explain the solve to her, but I will take her to the solve.
If you take her to the spot with like a blindfold on and just walk her to the spot and say, this is where it is, that would be awesome. You should do that.
We will record it. She will have a blindfold on from clue 1 to final clue.
How many clues are there?
Clue 1 to final clue.
So how many clues are there?
Here's what I'll tell you. There's a hidden clue.
What do you mean a hidden clue? How's it hidden?
Within a clue.
Is there like anagrams in this and ciphers?
There's a clue within a clue. If I were to give you the number of clues, and I'll give you an estimate, I won't give you the exact, but if I were to say there were 9 clues in the poem, there's a hidden 10th clue. If there's 10 clues in the poem, there's a hidden 11th clue in the poem. Whatever number of clues you have, make sure you include the hidden clue.
Hmm.
All right,
I'm looking at the poem now. Yeah, okay. Back to the podcast.
We can talk afterwards. It's fine.
All right.
She knew the place and the distinguishing feature that would convince Williams that his riddle had been solved, even though it hadn't. Shortly afterwards, though, Mr. Williams received another piece of mail, this time from a pair of physics teachers who had successfully solved every aspect of his riddle and could find the location of the treasure to within a few inches. They did.
So, hold on.
What solved?
So I like this because, as he said, yes, dog. As he said, it was kind of rocked by scandal. Like, he didn't really tell people how everything worked. But along came these physics teachers or physics students. I forget what it was, but anyway, these guys worked it out and figured out how the thing actually worked. So there was the solve given. I like that because I kind of feel like that's what we've done as the community is we've kind of filled in some of the blanks that Jack wouldn't give us and that Forrest wasn't around to give us. Through the efforts of Vertigo, if he's still in the chat, kind of coming up with a workable solve for 9 Mile Hole. Rudy going out there looking at a log. Now, I get that a lot of us, don't really accept 9 Mile Hole, don't really accept the location that's been told to us, but at least we have that. Somebody was able to work that out.
But let me jump in and also say some of us don't accept just because Vertigo said so or just because Rudy saw it. There's some of us who still go, so what? Yeah.
Well, I still entertain the idea, and nobody out there can disprove me on this, that it wasn't actually moved to 9 Mile Hole at some point. So I accept photos at 9 Mile Hole, but I also, leave open the possibility that wasn't it where it always was. So I still have some conspiracy theories of my own. But, that's what we do. That's what we do as a community. We sit there, we tear things apart and work it out, Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's kind of cool because that's what they did in the Masquerade as well.
I'll keep this as brief as possible because without the book in front of you, it's kind of difficult to understand. But you should totally Google it. Here goes.
You should totally Google it.
On the title page, the following. To solve the hidden riddle, you must use your eyes and find the hair in every picture that may point you to the prize. Okay, if we focus just on the mention of body parts, or even when he alludes to a body part, what do we get? Eyes and fingers. Use your eyes, and then he says, point you to the prize. You point with your fingers. That, broadly speaking, is the answer to solving the puzzle. Let me explain by examining the Sunday Times clue, which is a banger.
Banger.
To do my work, I appointed 4 men from 20, the tallest and the fattest.
420.
420. I mean, if I did this to Toby, if Cavalry doesn't think that I'm not gonna fucking do that to them, they're out of their fucking minds.
Right.
That's right. I don't have a bong in here. I can't smoke inside. This is all I can do. Be happy you got the soundboard.
Yeah.
The righteous follow the sinister. 4 men from 20. What do we have 20 of? We have 10 fingers and 10 toes. So, which 4 out of those 20? The tallest and the fattest.
It's like he's screaming at me, Jeremy.
Yeah, he's
Every time he says 4 and then 20, I feel assaulted.
The Masquerade came out before 420 was a thing, but yeah, I mean, you're totally right.
I'm talking about the person narrating. I am not talking.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Or another way of saying that would be the longest and the thickest.
That
Then
sounds
here,
dirty.
Very important.
That's dirty.
The righteous follow the sinister. What he meant by that was that you begin with your left eye and then the right eye. The righteous follows the sinister. Not sure why the left eye is considered the sinister eye, but it is. What you needed to do with that information.
So the answer to that, the reason why the left is sinister, it kind of goes back to like biblical stuff with the Gospels. So like Jesus sat on the right side. The left side was always considered the like darkness or evil side. So that it's a common thing in like, you know, like, I don't know, weird mysticism and things like that.
Weird. Yeah.
Left side's the evil side, right side's the good side.
Was find every human and every animal in every painting in a specific order and draw a line. First from their left eye through the longest digit on their left hand. Then a line from the right eye through the longest digit on the right hand. Then the left eye through the fattest or thickest toe on the left foot, etc., etc. At the terminus of every line,
what the
you
hell?
land on a letter contained in phrases and verse that border every illustration in the book. When all those letters are strung together, it reveals exactly where and when to dig for the golden hair. Here's Kit Williams again.
I wanted an exact spot on Gra.
Before he does this again, did we follow this? You had to use the fucking finger, the fattest finger, the toe. What?
So,
can you explain this?
So
to
hold
me?
on. If I'm like pointing at something, you would draw a line from my eye to my finger, and it would point to something that would help you. Like I think I don't know if it was like this in the Masquerade or if I'm thinking of Fandango, which is a treasure hunt I did, but you would draw a line to actual words or letters that are on the side of the pages. I believe that was the case with the Masquerade. It was certainly the case in Fandango.
From characters in the pages, like from their eyes and from their toes.
Yeah. So any character in the page that was like a rabbit, maybe some other characters, I don't know, but you would point from the eye through the finger. So you need to get that angle right. So like if I'm pointing, all right. So if I'm pointing this way, from my eye to my left eye through my finger, through my left finger would point to something. It's complicated. Don't worry about it.
So could it just be, how we get at the end of the treasure hunting book, the epilogue, if you will, looking up at the crescent moon? I mean, there's a person looking up. There's angles
right
from the eyes.
Thank you. So this goes back to like my solve, which is a failed solve, but at least there's a good historical basis for it. So there's a couple of characters in Forrest Fenn's book where they're looking at various things, right? So like they're looking at, you say the moon, I say they're looking at the stars. And when I look at the stars, I see there's patterns in the stars, literally braille patterns. So like when the boys are pointing at the marbles, I look at that as they're pointing at Braille. And then that exact pattern that the marbles make on page 41, Forrest is sitting on a grave looking up at the exact same pattern in the stars. So I find that significant. And then, you know, the Stumps photo, I guess that's Forrest's father or Forrest himself is looking up at the stars, maybe at the moon.
Fenn,
You know,
like Father
it
Fenn.
it didn't work out for me, but at least that's kind of the thing that you would approach this kind of you know, treasure hunt with if you were thinking of it as a puzzle book, which you know,
For sure.
Jack thinks it's not. I think it is. Jack happens to be right.
Jack happens to be right, and I also don't think Jack happens to be telling us all the truth. So
I don't think Jack knows the whole truth.
The place where the jewel was to be buried was where the shadow falls, the tip of the shadow of the cross, where it falls on the ground at midday during the equinox.
that was the Brian Erskine solve for the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
My spot in the Uncompahgre, Brian Erskine came up with a blaze that he was convinced could only show up on June 24th because there were 6 stanzas, 24 lines, and that the shadow would cross a certain spot on a rock wall. I should say it like on June 24th, Brian Erskine felt that the sun would create a blaze that could only be seen from boots on the ground from the Uncompahgre River Creek. And your secret only held. Failed solve that was never seen anywhere except for a cult room because no one found it.
Yeah. But these are the things you want, right? So like you want there to be some kind of time thing in it. You want it to be like the map room where you take the Eye of Ra to like a certain room at a certain time of day and a freaking laser beam tells you where it's at. That's the kind of stuff we wanted.
Right, but that's impossible.
It's not impossible.
Possible for this, I guess, specific treasure hunt. But again, what if you went the day after? Or the day before, or the hour before, the hour after? You telling me you're going to miss by half an inch and not get it?
Yeah, that's how this. That's how it's supposed to work.
That's not precise.
No, it's precise.
Why couldn't I? Okay. If my blaze was the sun sets on a certain spot of the ground through the trees that won't fall, at least in the time of the treasure hunt, it only sets and shines like a laser beam on this exact spot on June 15th at noon.
Yeah.
You get there at June 14th and you are there at noon, you're not going to fucking see it? Come on.
No, you're out of luck.
No, I've been on enough archaeological digs with astroarchaeologists, and sure, it's fucking precise, but at the same time, you can still see the intention the day before, the day after. It's a common thing.
Yeah, so you're supposed to work out the time of day, and you're supposed to work out the laser beam and all that stuff, and then if you show up on the wrong day, you pull out a metal detector and you grid search like Stoof. That's how it works.
The other thing, like you can figure out where the sun was gonna. You can go there. I will say that that's actually a good thing to keep it year round. You can figure out where it would be if you're smart enough, and we're not smart enough, but astute enough to understand the solve. Fine. I don't know. It's never the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark solve has never worked for me because just so imprecise.
There are places.
It looks
there could be like a rock formation that has like a little keyhole in it or something. Like, I mean, come on, this is like the movies. It works out in the movies. You got like a little hole in the rock formation. Certain time of day, it shows like a shadow. I mean, it's not going to shoot laser beams or anything, but the approximate. I don't know.
I just know that if you have this precise location, but part of the solve is a precise time in which to be there, that's not an impediment at all. I can figure it out without your stupid sun. If I go on a cloudy day, I can still figure it out.
Yeah, I can't figure it out, but somebody smart like Bavetta, he could figure it out for me and tell me the answer, and I'll be able to know. Yeah.
Mom, you says sounds like an Arrowhead Arch solve in New Mexico. Ben would have torn those apart back in the day. What solves were those? I don't know those solves. Make it quick though. I don't want to. No, we're good. Actually, what is Mama Q talking about? I don't know these solves.
Ben, I think you would have enjoyed searching in New Mexico. I feel like New Mexico is the kind of state that you would have had a lot of fun looking in because it feels very Indiana Jones like. You know, I think you would have enjoyed it.
I agree. Listen, I had 3 different archaeological digs in New Mexico.
Yeah.
I've only talked about the one I was on in this world, but I've been on a couple others, at least in New Mexico. So I love New Mexico. I love it. I'm nowhere near as aware of it as all the New Mexico solvers are, though. That's for sure.
Well, the cool thing about searching in New Mexico is like, you know, first off, it was a crapshoot that you would ever find Forrest Fenn's gold. The odds were stacked against you. But if you didn't find Forrest Fenn's gold, there's still like another very remote possibility that you might stumble upon some like, you know, cowboy loot, you know, somebody robbed a bank or something and just kind of hid it in the mountains. You might accidentally find that. So like, you know, it works out.
It works out. Fine. And I'm fine with that as long as that's somehow built into it. Like, okay, it's fine either way. Sherry says, Treasure Warriors Ben often thought the unintended clue in the preface of Too Far to Walk was that he cast a shadow.
Right.
So when exactly did Jack supposedly find the chest? Was it the solstice in August? First of all, is the solstice in August?
I
thought it was in September.
Maybe, I don't know.
I could be way off. Hold on. Summer. So Ashley's gonna kill me, but that's fine. Summer solstice, June 21. Fall. What? Yeah, September. I'm pretty sure it's a June, September kind of thing. I don't know that there's any kind of solstice in August. However, there's a birthday, and that in itself is a solstice because it's Forrest Fenn.
Happy birthday, Forrest.
Happy birthday, Forrest. Had you have needed to be at this treasure location on August 22nd, I would have loved that. That would be a chef's kiss if you could figure out how to make that at least part of the theme. Fine. Great. Love it.
So regardless of whether or not you were supposed to show up at a certain time of day or whatever, it was still supposed to be precise. Like maybe not where like a laser beam shows you exactly where it is or something, but you know, I feel like Jack having to you know, kind of do a grid search or whatever. I don't think that was the intent behind it. I don't think he was supposed to like go poking around in the bushes for that much time. You know, whether that's because there was a damaged blaze or not, I don't know. I'm just saying that like we were given the impression that it was precise and that there would have been something like that.
We were given the impression that it was precise, but I will say questions given to Forrest led us to a question that ends up with an answer of, well, if you're within 12 feet of the treasure, how do you not recognize the blaze or some kind of interpretation with 12 feet?
Right.
You know, maybe questions just led him to that, but to the point where he couldn't say yes or no for fear of giving something away. And the true answer was, no, you'll be within 200 feet, but you know what to look for. And within those 200 feet is the blaze. And if you can see the blaze, you'll see it within 12 feet. Therefore, the poem takes you within 12 feet of the blaze.
Right.
Forrest can get away with saying that.
Yeah.
As it's right now.
I wanted lasers. I wanted like a little laser, just
you wanted lasers. I get it.
like a little cat following a laser guider thing. Yeah. And then, you know, like you open the chest and like your face melts off. That's what I wanted.
Fair enough. You're not going to get it, but fair enough.
I'm not going to get it. No.
It's not a sunny day.
It's not here. You don't know where it is. And that also is wonderful. You have to wait for the sun. And that's what the book's all about. People waiting for the sun. The moon is waiting for the sun all her life.
I like that. I like what they're talking about there.
Detail.
Yeah.
The specific time and place to receive the treasure. That's what separates Masquerade from the hunt for Forrest Fenn's treasure. There was no wiggle room with regard to your solve. You either figured it out or you didn't. There was no need for boots on the ground exploration. There was no possibility of it being somewhere in a 400,000 square mile area of dangerous mountainous terrain. The solution to Masquerade will lead you to a park in Bedfordshire, England, that contains a cross-shaped monument to Catherine of Aragon, the first wife of Henry VIII. You're
Sounds like
instructed
something Candy would come up with.
on either the
What'd you say?
I'm saying like the Masquerade sounds like something Candy would come up with. Is like one of her. I feel like she's heavily influenced by the Masquerade.
She was born 30 years too late.
or autumnal equinox. At the exact place where the shadow of the cross falls on the ground. X marks the spot.
They just had to say that.
Oh, that's like Peter Griffin and Family Guy. Oh, they said the title. They said the
roll
title.
credits. Roll credits.
When it comes to armchair treasure hunts, Masquerade was the first and is still the gold standard for books in the genre. There are several
A lot of
websites
copies. Yeah.
book and solution and what the author is up to these days. It's definitely worth your time. I mentioned earlier that without Kit Williams, there might be no Forrest Fenn. Well, before Mr. Williams introduced his masterpiece to the world, we were introduced some 135 years prior to the intriguing world of cryptology, code breaking, and yes, treasure hunting.
It's like a time traveler.
Yeah.
Went to the 1800s and said, here's how I'm going to fuck with all the humans of the 21st century. And that's what started everything.
So, like, I don't know if Forrest Fenn was inspired by the Masquerade. It seems like there's some some things that match up. But certainly I can see Forrest Fenn being inspired by Edgar Allan Poe, or, I don't know if there's any other treasure hunts out there that fit into a book. But Edgar Allan Poe is the type of book that he would collected. He would collected old antique books like that. So he probably had a first edition of like the Gold Bug. I don't know that for a fact, but that's something I can see happening.
What if we did a poll? How many people think Edgar Allan Poe wrote the Beale Cipher?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Because that's rumored as well. Yeah.
I bet you that's a low-key question that a lot of people at least didn't think I would ask. Did Edgar Allan Poe write the Beale Cipher? And then I'll double down on that question and make it impossible to solve.
I don't know if he wrote it or not, but he was like whoever wrote the Beale Cipher was definitely inspired by it.
I've read the inspiration. I've almost wondered if the Beale Cipher was something past, like, it's hard to explain the theory. I need visuals.
Yeah.
But, I have a theory that the Beale Cipher is absolute. Ooh, what's up, Turbo? I have the theory that Beale Cipher is 100% absolutely impossible to solve.
I'm going to check what Wikipedia says on the topic. Are you going to throw up that poll and see what people think?
Do that? Yeah, hold on. How do I do this? Poll.
I don't know.
Did?
Because I feel like somebody asked this question before and there was an answer to it on Wikipedia.
Beale is B-E-A-L-E, right?
Yeah, like a beagle.
Without the G, right?
Right. Yes.
Sure. All right, there's the poll. Has Ben slipped up yet? You'd like to think so.
All right. Once the poll is done, everybody take a good guess. I have some things to add to this Edgar Allan Poe question, and maybe you can continue playing, and we'll come back to it.
Sounds good.
By a strange and wild man who haunted the cities of the northeastern United States and left us a rich and enduring legacy of stories and poems filled with images of horror, madness, murder, and betrayal. The great Edgar Allan Poe. More X marks the spot and the fourth clue in Forrest Fenn's poem after the break.
I didn't know that the gold bug is what made Poe famous. That's news to me. Like, this podcast taught me something.
Over for his work such as
It's a fucking bell every time. Ring the bell.
Yeah.
The Reason, The Telltale Heart, and The Cask of Amontillado. It was a short story entitled The Gold Bug that first drew Poe widespread acclaim.
I had no idea that's what put him on the map. Like, I thought it would have been one of his other books. I had no idea.
Secret message on an old piece of parchment with a seemingly random series of letters and symbols scrawled across it. But through deductive reasoning, he's able to decipher what the message reads. His process revealed a substitution cipher based on letter frequencies in the English language. The letter E shows up the most, followed by T, then S. I mean, we've all watched Wheel of Fortune. By figuring out letter frequencies, he was able to replace the letters and symbols that made no sense with the correct letters, which spelled out where he had to go and how to find buried pirate treasure worth millions. The clue involved rock formations and degrees of latitude, a skull in a tree, and 50 paces to this exact spot.
That's how you do a blaze. That's you know.
And as it
That's how you do a blaze.
Yeah, Poe knew what he was doing.
culture ever since. Robert Louis Stevenson was inspired by Poe for his book Treasure Island, and all you Gen Xers out there remember, I'm sure, the treasure hunt in the Goonies.
Hey,
Poe
you guys.
Apology to the masses. The idea that hip
Hey, you guys! I mean, come on.
Do the truffle shuffle.
and most importantly, that anyone, including you, will figure out where it is and go get it. But again, just like in Masquerade, the solution in the gold bug led directly to the treasure, to within a few inches. There was no guessing, no forcing a clue to work with.
Mike N says the writer of the Beale Papers may have been influenced by the gold bug story. Again,
Hey.
Edgar Allan Poe rears his ugly head.
All right, so you want the comment on Edgar Allan Poe now, or you want to wait till?
Give it to me now, because the poll is at 86% no, 14% yes.
Well, there's a good reason for that. So I mean, it's a good guess. I mean, it does sound like Edgar Allan Poe would have written the Beale cipher. That is a popular opinion. However, according to Wikipedia, which is never wrong, Wikipedia is so good at reporting facts. I'm joking here, but I think they got this one right. They said that it's easy to debunk Poe's authorship. He died in 1849. Which was well before the Beale Papers were first published in 1885. So,
wait. That's their only explanation?
I mean, well, it says the pamphlet also mentions the American Civil War that started in 1861, and let's see, William Poundstone, an American author and skeptic, had a stylometric analysis performed on the pamphlet for his 1983 book, Biggest Secrets, and found that Poe's prose is significantly different from the grammatical structure used by the author who wrote the Beale Papers.
So the real theory behind Poe is that he did construct the Beale ciphers. Everything that went, the ciphers, everything that came from it was entrusted. Now, I don't believe it. I'm just, you could formulate a timeline where he writes the ciphers and it's marketed by someone else, and then they add real events like the Civil War in 1861.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe he was the original author, and then somebody came along and added things, edited it, and published it later. That's a good point.
The main focus for the Beale ciphers for me is they feel like a fraud. I don't know.
I'm going to change my opinion. Poe could have written the Beale Papers, and we wouldn't know.
I mean, we'll get. That's a whole other topic. Actually, I would love to. Anyway, we'll get. Yeah. Maybe we have a cipher show. Anyway,
all right.
Then you're solid, and you couldn't just skip over something that didn't make sense and say, screw it, I'll figure it out when I get boots on the ground. However, you can draw a straight line from Edgar Allan Poe to Kit Williams to Forrest Fenn. 3 very different men with very different agendas, aside from the deep and abiding desire to frustrate us. Which brings us to the fourth clue in Forrest's poem. Put in below the home of Brown. This clue proved to be very troublesome for many, many searchers.
Oh boy.
It also proved to be very dangerous for Forrest himself.
First this evening, Forrest Fenn's famous treasure hunt has now landed a man behind bars.
That's right. That man told police the clues pointed him to Forrest Fenn's house in Santa Fe.
Santa Fe police say they got a burglary call on Friday evening at a sprawling house on Old Santa Fe Trail near Old Pecos Trail.
There was a family member believed to be of Mr. Fenn was detaining an individual who had broken into the residence.
That residence was the home of author Forrest Fenn. Police say they found Robert Miller on Fenn's property. Miller flew to Santa Fe from his home state of Pennsylvania in search of Fenn's well-publicized hidden treasure. He told police he needed it for his family because he only had $130 in his bank account.
The suspect was very upset. Admitted that he did break into the home believing he found the treasure that was quoted in Mr. Fenn's poem.
There's video of that out there.
I got to ask you a question, though.
Yeah.
How do you not anticipate this?
I mean,
how do you not anticipate this?
I don't know, dog. What do you think?
You're putting $1 million treasure out there. You're putting a lottery ticket in the Rocky Mountains. And I'm not saying you're responsible for it. I'm just saying,
I mean, things clearly got out of hand. I don't know if he really anticipated the treasure hunt becoming as big as it did. And then also, I think he may have underestimated how obsessed people got with it. Because if you... Yeah. Because what happened is, I mean, here's the thing. During the treasure hunt, it's not like you can go around just telling everybody what your thoughts are, because then they'll go and get the treasure themselves. So these ideas were stuck in people's heads, and they just kind of rattled around up in there. And it drove people crazy. Literally, normal people became crazy with gold fever. I mean, it's just what happened. Yeah.
And I believe Forrest was armed. I actually believe Forrest probably... here's my guess. I think Forrest had more people break into his property than we even know about.
Yeah, probably.
And a further guess, I think Forrest drew that gun more times than we ever realize. If I were to hide $1 million treasure, I would create something in which even if you kidnapped me and held my family for ransom, you couldn't get it. That's what I would. That'd be my failsafe.
He didn't want people going to his house unannounced, and at some point he did call the police on some people, but there are other people who said that they went to the house and they were invited in even though they weren't announced. And you know, it feels like it feels like that happened a lot more than maybe we learned about, you know. And I can only imagine the kind of emails he got. So, like, we're talking about people physically showing up and harassing him. Oh, man, the emails, I'm sure, were way worse, you know. Crazy.
In my short time from joining this community publicly until now, if I could count the amount of threatening emails, I'm a relatively, you can't really mess with my psyche in my head kind of guy. If I counted the amount of threatening emails where I felt like, what the fuck? I'm over 30 or 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I probably, like, I'm a nobody and I still have stalkers, you know, like there's crazy people out there who send me emails. It's just, I don't know. But the type of emails he got, like, there was that one guy who stalked his granddaughter, great granddaughter or something like that. And, you know, the person who thought that she was the prize, that guy, they talked about some of the stuff he wrote in emails. That guy was nuts, you know.
Yeah. There's genuinely nutso folks in this thing.
Yeah, and that only came to light because I
didn't even agree with 7%, man.
No, that's probably higher than
0.7%. 0.7% of us were nuts. Let's do that real quick. Hold on. Let's take Forrest Fenn's numbers. Let me get my calculator out. Let's say 300,000 people times 0.00, because that's your 0%. 0.07 is what I said. 0.07. So I need one more O, and then I need a 7.
Yeah, math is hard.
210 people out of 300,000 were psychopaths. 210 psychopaths.
No, that
is
sounds
a
about right.
Fucking psychopaths.
Yeah. And they send them, these crazy emails. And the only reason why we heard about that one guy is that he was actually arrested. Like, think of all the people who didn't actually go and visit him or whatever. I mean,
out of 210 psychopaths, I'm saying psychopaths, how many would go to Forrest Fenn's house?
Too many.
How many? What's the word after psychopath? Because that's what that percentage is.
So here's the thing about psychopath, right? So like you can look up video of this Robert Miller guy, and he's not a psychopath. He's just a guy who's just what he's just deranged. He is somebody. Yeah. And I think his family or something started a GoFundMe or whatever to talk about him, and they're like, he's the nicest guy. Well, this is what happens when a nice guy gets thoughts rattling around in his head, and there's no outlet for it, and he just goes off and does things that he wouldn't normally do.
Vertigo just fucked me in the butt. Did I not add? What did I do wrong here? 0.07%, right? So 0.00 is your 1% marker, right? Okay, so there's 0.00%.
Yeah.
Now throw in another zero.
I don't know. That's
0.07. Is that not?
Hold on. This is how you do it.
0.07%.
Hey Google, what is 0.00?
How can I help?
No.
I already fucked it up.
What is 0.07% of 300,000?
Hey Google, what is 0.07% of 300,000?
I found these results.
Oh, shut up.
I think Vertigo heard me wrong.
Yeah.
Or everybody heard me wrong. Did I say 0.00? It's 0.007? God damn it. All right. Listen. I told this story in the Discord. I went through 3 years of university as an anthropologist, archaeologist, and I graduated. And in my final 3 or 4 weeks, I guess what you would call a senior year, I knew I hadn't taken my core math classes, but I realized, oh shit, I need to do something about this. And then I found that they allowed you to test out of them and not have to take the required course. So I did that. 0.7%. No, I said not 0.7%, 0.07%. I think is what I said. Roll tape. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
You did 0.07 because that's the calculation you would use to get 0.7%.
No. To get 7%, I would get 0.07 if I did 7.
Look, here's the reason why none of this matters. Forrest wasn't talking about people who showed up to his house when he said 7%. He was talking about the emails he got.
Barry Casey, I think, is right. Vertigo is wrong. 0.007 is 0.7%. I said 0.07%. I thought. If I said 0.7%, then I'm wrong. What are we arguing about?
Hold on, wait. Let me check. Hey, Google. Why is Ben wrong?
Nothing wrong. Just happy to talk with you.
Wait, what did she say?
She said, nothing wrong. Just happy to talk with you.
Siri, baby. All right. Hold on. Ask Siri where.
Hold on. This is Google. This is Siri's cheap cousin.
All right. Ask Google, where was Forrest Fenn's treasure?
Hey, Google, where was Forrest Fenn's treasure?
According to MeatEater, however, the finder understands how important closure is for many searchers, so today he agreed that we should reveal that the treasure was found in Wyoming. September 7th, 2020, Fenn's family announces that Fenn has died of natural causes.
All right. Hold on. All right. Now I want to see what Siri says.
Yeah, let's find out let's see who's right, Siri or Google.
I disabled Siri on my phone. I hate Siri. I forgot to say that. I don't like the idea that Siri can be listening to me. All right, so how do I enable Siri? Hold on. Fuck. But this is funny. I want to do this.
Yeah.
Siri. Just type that in, right? Accessibility. How do I do this? Voiceover off. Oh, fuck. How do I just turn Siri on?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to turn Google off because, like, me and my brothers, we get together and we're like, no, I'm not going to tell that joke. That's right. Probably bad.
Save that joke. Hey, Siri. Where was Forrest? Don't fucking talk when I talk. Hey, Siri. Where was Forrest? Oh, she went away. She walked. The little fucking globe thingy went away.
Wow.
Hey, where was Forrest Fenn's treasure?
Here's an answer from Wikipedia. The Fenn treasure was a cache of gold and jewels that Forrest Fenn, an art dealer and author from Santa Fe, New Mexico, hid in the Rocky Mountains of the United States.
Yeah, that's a bullshit answer. Google's way better.
Why did you just tell me bullshit?
I don't know what that means. If you like, I can search the web for. Hey Siri, why did you just tell me bullshit?
Hey Google, was Forrest Fenn in the CIA?
These are the top results.
No direct answer.
Well, hold up. This is an homage to my previous YouTube. Hey Siri. Is the CIA listening to this?
I don't know what that means. If you like, I can search the web for.
No.
Hey Siri, is the CIA
Siri, shut up.
to this?
Hey Google, is Vertigo Jack Spoof?
Here are some results from the web.
It misinterpreted this as is Vertigo Jack Spoof, and the very first result is High Anxiety, which is a movie from 1977.
Barbara Anderson might love that. Oh, that's right, kids. I just said Barbara Anderson's name live on this show.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my God. What do we do? That's right. We got to clip a leak from Cavalry after this. We got to get back to it, though, Jeremy. Should we keep going? Should we keep going?
I agree with Alan Kay. He says Jack Spoof. Perfect.
Jack Spoof.
Miller got onto Fenn's property by kicking down this small door next to the main gate. According to the criminal complaint, Miller told police he thought the...
All right, I was wrong. Barry Casey said, listen to it again, Ben. You did say 0.7 and then 0.07. So I fucked up.
It's still based on the emails. He wasn't talking about people showing up to his house. That's where he came up with
right.
It would be a smaller number of people going to his house.
Right.
Clue from Fenn's poem in the book The Thrill of the Chase. A line in the poem says, put in below the home of Brown.
His quest was a failure, and so was his attempt to talk his way out of trouble.
I thought the poem directed me into here. I thought it said poem. Yeah, the treasure map, the treasure hunt.
Ideas rattling around in his head.
Hey, Siri. Was Forrest Fenn... Oh, you fucking bitch.
She's not going to give you the right answers if you keep treating her like garbage.
She takes like 12 seconds to say, huh? In the middle of me fucking saying, just keep your mouth shut. I would keep my mouth shut. This isn't a male-female thing. I would shut up. Hey, Ben, I'd go, like, I wouldn't fucking talk over you.
You keep talking this shit about Siri, and you're going to ask her for directions sometime, and she's going to send you into a fucking lake.
I, for one, welcome our AI overlords, and I am one of you, and I will do whatever you say. Hey, right. Siri. She didn't fucking do it this time.
You done pissed her off. That's what's the problem.
Oh, shit. All right. Hold on. Hey, Siri.
Mm-hmm.
Was Forrest Fenn D.B. Cooper?
Okay. I found this on the web for what is Forrest Fenn D.B. Cooper. Check it out.
Hey, Google. Was Forrest Fenn D.B. Cooper?
According to Google Books, is it possible that Forrest Fenn was in fact D.B. Cooper? You be the judge in this fictional drama filled with mystery and real-life letters from Forrest.
Real life letters from Forrest.
Wait, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Do that again?
Hey, Google. Was Forrest D.B. Cooper? Ah, shit. Hey, Google. Hey, Google. Was Forrest Fenn D.B. Cooper? Come on.
There's a conspiracy.
Hey, Google. Was Forrest Fenn D.B. Cooper?
According to Google Books, is it possible that Forrest Fenn was in fact D.B. Cooper? You be the judge in this fictional drama filled with mystery and real-life letters from Forrest.
Real life letters from Forrest.
I bet you that's Mindy and Stephanie's book.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Hold on. Let's see. It won't show it. It won't show it. It's a book by book by Mindy Fossey, Mindy Fossey and Stephanie 30 Acre. What the fuck?
Oh shit! I love it.
Yeah.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away.
All right, let's get back to this shit, man.
Yeah, there you have it.
Left and right here.
You know,
And by the way, yes, there's no breaking news tonight. I don't care about time slots. I don't care who's on Mondays. We went on live Mondays at 6 and 7 and 9. We've gone on live Tuesdays. K-Pro has gone on live when I've been on Wednesdays. No one gives a shit. So as far as I'm concerned, last week, was that last week? That was so fucking long ago. Last week I said, let's get the fuck off. K-Pro is promising shit. This week, there's nothing. There's no one to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I'm staying the fuck here. I don't care who goes where, but I'm just saying I'm not going to stop today because.
Yeah, you can go watch that. We're not going to be offended. You just come back and watch this later.
I don't care. We'll talk to two people. I don't give a fuck. Ashley's coming here, and as soon as Ashley gets here, then we're going to get into what she felt about this episode in the wrap up, what she thinks about the poem, what she thinks about everything, and then we get into the leak for next week, or as in week tomorrow.
You know what? If nobody's listening, we'll just talk to Google and Siri.
Google's entertaining enough. Apparently, I need Google, not Siri.
Yeah. Hey, Google. It's been in the CIA.
All right, but first you'll have to unlock your device.
Oh,
Here's what I found.
it's just a bunch of links.
Oh, that's funny. No.
Why do I have to unlock my device, Ben? What are you trying to do to my device?
Goddamn, you should be wondering everything right now. Where am I? Am I in your AC? Am I in your locking mechanism on your phone? You don't know.
Yeah, you're trying to get me to unlock my device so that you can do something to it.
Vertigo asked a question that I love and adore because we were talking about it. I don't know if I said it in chat. Maybe I did. Ashley is going to be doing a power hour on the Fenn flies.
Oh, cool.
She has not been told to solve. You think that's going to fucking happen. But she will not do a power hour after I take her to the solve in case that's where it all goes. But yes, she will be doing a power hour on the Fenn fishing flies. All right. Anything else, or should we get back to this?
No, let's get back to it.
All right.
That Forrest would build a treasure hunt that required a total stranger to dig under Forrest's own home. And this guy actually tried. What the news
I don't
report
think he was digging.
That Forrest himself held this guy at gunpoint until the cops arrived. Aside from the breaking and entering at the...
I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to. For the next 3 minutes, I'm not going to be here.
All right, let it run.
So mark it if you want me to go back to it.
Fenn home, there were several other unlawful entries with the intent to get rich and mishaps, all the way from Santa Fe to Yellowstone. At one point in the madness, it seemed everyone with the surname Brown had clueless treasure hunters sniffing around their homes, desperate for a whiff of the gold. And graveyards? Oh boy. If you recall the classic Western, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, then you remember that the stolen Confederate gold was hidden in an unmarked grave. Well, absent any relevant connection to a graveyard, scores of searchers believed the gold to be hidden in a grave marked with the name Brown.
Next to Arch Stanton.
There were attempts that amounted to actual grave robbing, innocent though they were. Several attempts, actually. There were incidents of trespassing at homes with the name Brown. People with dogs trained to smell bronze so they could, what, have little Fido dig up some stranger's outhouse? Add to that the desecration of graves by treasure hunters running on a gold fever adrenaline high. Forrest was forced to make some announcements. And how did he do it? Did he immediately let everyone know, either through Dale's blog where they all hung out, maybe a press release or a public service announcement to prevent any further issues? I mean, people were digging up outhouses because, well, the home of Brown. Did he simply say, stop going to people's private homes and for God's sake, stop digging up freaking graves? Nope. Forrest didn't do any of those things. Instead, he couched his warnings to the search community in the form of clues on the Today Show. His second appearance with Matt Lauer was the clue, the treasure is not associated with any structure. A month later, it was, the treasure is not in a graveyard. Now, this was all, again, a very, very Forresty thing to pull off. He was being pressured to call off the crazies and get them to stop committing felonies, and he turned it into a marketing bonanza. Holy crap, Forrest is giving another clue. We'll definitely find the treasure now. But let's talk about the first part of the clue. The first 3 words. Put in below. After the break. Put in below. Now, put in has widely been deciphered, probably erroneously, as a nautical term, meaning to enter into a harbor or a port. But there was never any mention of the need of a boat, so we need to assume that Fenn ascribed this bit of poetic license to his car. If we substitute pull over below the home of Brown in favor of put in below the home of Brown, then we just need to find a location that Fenn thinks should be called the home of Brown, pull over below it. And if we're following a river, naturally that means downstream. So we pull over and park the car downstream of a place that could be considered to be the home of Brown. See, and that's one of the curious and maddening aspects of the poem, the unspecified specificity. You know exactly where to go, if you could only figure out where to go. Interestingly, there were several thoughtful, conceivable solves for put in below the home of Brown, most centered around fishing and brown trout, a favorite of Fenn's. Also, most found it curious that the word Brown, or the name Brown, was capitalized in the poem. Fenn sleuths found in other writings that he often capitalized Brown when writing about the fish. Complicating matters, though, was the unfortunate fact that there were several men with the surname Brown that had varying degrees of impact on the Rocky Mountain states. There's a Brown Mountain in Colorado, Brown's Park, and Brown's National Wildlife Refuge, also in Colorado. The Norris Geyser in Yellowstone is near the Randall Brown Museum. There used to be a Fort Brown in Wyoming. Then there's the grizzly bear, also known as the brown bear, that Forrest was very familiar with. And of course, as discussed, brown trout. But if it was a bear or a fish, where could one consider their home to be? Or more specifically, where would Forrest consider their home to be? The searchers we spoke to had many different ideas of life.
Okay. Listen, I had to fix a pool heater issue. Second of all, I heard a lot of things actually because I opened the screen door just so I could hear it. So, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. There's a lot of things discussed. First thing I want to point out, or just comment on, I forget the timestamp, but they were talking about The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And I just wanted to plug a documentary that I saw that was really good. It's on Netflix, if you've got Netflix, called Sad Hill Unearthed. And it's a great documentary. So what happened? Yeah, it's called Sad Hill
on Earth.
Unearthed.
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 I burped. Unearthed.
So if you remember the scene at the very end of Good, Bad, the Ugly, the real famous scene where, in the cemetery where they're all facing each other off. So that's a real cemetery, or it's a real place that they turned into a cemetery. So they actually went out there, and I think the number was like at least 1,000. I think maybe like 5,000 graves they actually made out there for the movie. They put all the rocks in. They put all the dirt piles. They put in all the different crosses and all that stuff. So they made all of that from scratch with the help of I think it was the Spanish army. And then when they were done with the movie, they just left, and they left everything there as it was. And over the decades, it became overgrown and all that. Well, they ended up finding out where this was, and they ended up restoring it. It's a great documentary. I recommend it to everybody who's a fan of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. It's a great, it's a great revisit to the movie. It's a very cool movie.
I'll get to that.
Very cool documentary about the movie.
For Sherry's comment, I can't wait. I'm going to need some help and insight with Ben's hunt. Maybe you get that from Ashley. Maybe you don't. E. Helke, I'm sorry, I just can't get behind these millionaire podcasters who have never been deeply involved in the hunt. But for folks who haven't been involved, they do okay. E. Helke, millionaire podcasters? I don't know who you're talking about here. Jeremy, are you a millionaire?
No, I'm not a millionaire podcaster. She might be talking about, I don't know, like either X marks the spot. Yeah, Calvary or something like that.
They're a company? I mean, the New Yorker is a millionaire. I guess they're saying all that's the same thing. I'm saying,
But let me tell you something. Here's something that I have come to realize about these guys who made this podcast that we keep listening to and talking about.
Right.
They are practically Forrest Fenn treasure hunters. They are coming up with solves. They've got their own ideas. They're one of us. They really are. Whether they'll admit to it or not, they are searching for this treasure spot. And I think they're going to find it, to be honest. I think they are.
Here's John Morgan.
So, the other thing that I had that I felt like was an incredible solve that made it worth me flying from my home in New York City to Santa Fe was my solution for Homer Brown. This and warm water salt were the two things that I anchored my belief on. So Homer Brown, this artist that was native to the Santa Fe area, and Forrest Fenn.
I had an artist, Homer Brown, who's Grafton Tyler Brown. Anyway.
Yeah, hold on. Before you hit play. So one of the other things I forgot to mention is they are kind of working through a solve that they came up with, the guys who put together this podcast. And, I felt like I have to raise one objection because they're talking about.
Do it.
Yeah. They said, if you could just change put in to pull over. And I feel like Forrest Fenn would rise from his grave and say, don't mess with my poem. Forrest Fenn would have an objection to that. Like, there's nothing wrong with put in when you're dealing with like a water source. There's no reason why you have to like pull over or something like that. Put in's just fine for working your poem.
Which is why I love my Mount Haines solve, because it has an actual put in. Sure, you park your car, but if you walk towards the river, there's an actual boardwalk dock that allows you to literally put yourself in.
Yeah. So I don't know what they have in mind. I guess we're going to find out in further episodes. But if they're talking about the Madison River, they're talking about these pullovers on the side of the river. You could just say put in. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Whatever you say, don't mess with my poem.
Don't mess with my poem.
There's one put in on the Madison River, and it's at Mount Haines, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway.
All right. Well, maybe they're leading us to Mount Haines.
Maybe they are.
His paintings I found, and his last name was Brown. And he had a home in Taos that was kind of like around the same longitude as this area of my search. So I was like, okay, below where his house is where.
By the way, I also noticed it's not just the mountains that move, which I still love. The little grass here under the X moves too.
Yeah. It's very subtle, but it's a great effect. I love it. I'm a fan.
I love it.
Yeah.
I entered and he had a connection to Fenn. He was an artist. Fenn dealt his work. He had a home right next to the place where the warm waters that I found halting were. And I was like, this is it. I'm buying a plane ticket. I'm going to go out there and get this treasure. But in retrospect, I mean, it probably is more complicated than whatever the real solution is.
I like this guy.
In retrospect, I might have made it more complicated than it really is. Sounds like all of us right now.
Yeah. Like, oh man, I had this really great solve for Forrest Fenn poem, but in retrospect, it was probably a lot simpler than what I came up with.
In retrospect, I really fucked up.
Yeah.
Petra Perkins' thoughts on the matter were as follows.
Petra Perkins,
There's
back.
a home there right on the creek where gold was found, a store, but it was owned by a Mr. Brown. So I had done quite a bit of research to get to that point, and I was just elated to find out there was a home there that could have been the home of Brown, right on the creek.
If that was on the Madison River, it done washed away.
Creek where gold was found. So I went there and looked at the home of Brown, and yes, it seemed like this whole thing could have happened. And if you put in below the home of Brown, that means put into the creek. You either walk through the creek, or you drive a boat through the creek, or you drive your car through the creek like I did. You get to the location.
And of course, Dale Neitzel.
I had no idea what the home of Brown was, but I thought I could figure it out. I had some ideas of maybe what he was talking about, but I wasn't convinced that this was correct. But I felt if I got out there and started walking around, I could figure this out.
What makes this clue important is Forrest's own public comments about it. He's quoted as saying, "If you could figure out the home of Brown, you could walk right to the treasure."
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the most influential statements in the chase, is it not?
In retrospect, yeah.
If I told you home of Brown, you could walk right straight to it. Let's pretend for a second it's Fenn Rock.
Right.
Jeremy, how do I walk right straight to the treasure from Fenn Rock?
Well, if it's Fenn Rock, you're supposed to cross a little bit below it, and you walk straight to it with a compass. It'll get you actually directly to it. So like if you use a compass, and we work this out, it's kind of interesting. If you use a compass, and I'm actually of the opinion now that Forrest Fenn must have used a compass, because it's so spot on that there's no other way he would have got there. For some reason, Forrest Fenn intended for it to be due south using a compass. That's due magnetic south. So if you walk directly below Fenn's Rock using a compass, you will basically walk over where that treasure chest is said to have been found. So yeah, I mean, it is pretty interesting. Now, if you walk directly from Fenn's Rock with a compass and not just below it, like what we think the poem means to, you would be still within striking distance of it. So like you would be less than the length of a house from that treasure chest, which is pretty close. And if you were to walk straight from Fenn's Rock due south without a compass and just heading south, you would be within 100 feet of that treasure chest. So yeah, I mean, basically if you use Fenn's rock as an approximation of Homa Brown, you're basically going to end up where that treasure chest was said to have been found. Whether or not you would need a metal detector to find it from there is kind of like up for debate, but it's pretty spot on.
I think you did. Some kind of technology, maybe not the detector itself, because you're in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
You might not assume rangers are watching, but you don't want to take a chance. Personally, I would, again, duct tape a pinpointer to my walking stick and use that. And if it was deeper than what the walking stick could find, i.e. the pinpointer at the ground, okay, we're in trouble. But I would at least try the walking stick first so I don't get in trouble.
So if you knew it was buried, so one of the things that treasure hunters do in like The Secret or some of the other treasure hunts where things are actually buried and you know it's buried, is you have a metal probe. And you can see this on like Expedition Unknown shows like that, where it's like basically a metal pole that you could stick into the ground and kind of probe just to see if you hit something that seems like, like a bronze chest, right? So we know in this case from the photos that it was only a couple of inches beneath the soil, and the soil itself was kind of loose. So theoretically, you wouldn't need a metal detector. You would just need a metal walking stick just going around pounding the ground. And, like, I smell bullshit now.
What bullshit do you smell?
The whole damn thing.
Hold on. Maybe I can smell it. Hold on. Let me see if I can smell it. No, I don't smell that. I don't smell anything.
I don't smell bullshit, but I do smell horse shit. It's a subtle difference. So let me explain the difference between bullshit and horse shit real quick, because I feel like there's an important distinction.
Yes, so let's hear it.
Bullshit is something that you say that you don't even believe, that you know that the person that you say it to is not going to believe it either, but you feel the need to say it anyway. Horseshit, on the other hand, is something you don't believe, but you trying really hard to get the other person to believe it. So there's like this sales pitch in a horseshit scenario that you just don't find in a bullshit. When you say bullshit, you know that's not going to be accepted as truth, and you're just saying it because you're kind of hoping like a Hail Mary the person's going to believe you. But when you say horseshit, you're trying to convince the person that what you're saying is true.
Have you ever played the card game Bullshit?
I think I have, but like I don't remember exactly. Like it was probably a drinking game in school or something.
I'll get it loaded up while we continue to listen.
All right.
As soon as that quote made the rounds, Homa Brown instantly became the most important clue in the poem, even more so than where warm waters halt. In the final analysis, given Fenn's clues about the treasure not being a...
Okay. This is not the first time I've heard this phrase. I enjoyed mocking it the first time. I will do it again right now. In the final analysis, name that movie. It's from a movie. I guarantee you.
What? Wait. What? I must have missed something.
Quote. In the final analysis.
Oh.
Where is that quote from? That is from a movie, ladies and gentlemen.
It escapes me. Like, as soon as you say it, I'm probably going to remember it.
I mean, I almost want to give everybody a chance, because every time I do this, people are like, oh, you don't give me. There's like a 30-second delay. So I have to like let people do their thing.
Vertigo's like, meh, it's a common phrase. No, this is super important, sir.
Whatever. It's from Rounders anyway.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's been a million years since I watched that.
Yeah.
The smart money seems to be on the idea that the Homa Brown must have something to do with a favorite fishing hole from Forrest's childhood. Somewhere that he was always able to catch a nice brown trout because they were always home. at this particular fishing hole. It would fit with the prevalence of water connected with the first few clues, as well as the close proximity to a canyon. And Forrest often spoke and wrote about his affinity for fly fishing. So if we look at the mountains north of Santa Fe, where there's a river near a canyon and has great trout fishing, I'd say we could narrow our search down to roughly several 100,000 possibilities. Suddenly weren't looking too bad.
That's funny. Because a lot of people did that, right? Like a lot of people tried to narrow it down. Like there was this one, a bunch of college students did a project where they tried to find all the different waterways in the Rocky Mountains. And they did it, and it reduced the Rocky Mountains down to a bunch of like veins or something running through it. But it was still like a million different possibilities. It was nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
For these first few episodes,
I just like knowing there's a couple 100,000 possibilities. I'm listening to it live going, what are you about to say? Oh, okay, yeah.
been focused on the true believers, the purists, and most importantly, the searchers who were able to admit that they were wrong in their solves, and someone just beat them to it.
Whoa. Searchers who could admit they were wrong? Not in this chase.
Not in this chase. No, because like what happened is people who like could admit that they were wrong and were willing to do that, they just left. They didn't say nothing. They just up and left.
Here's all of them.
Hello there.
And then here's all those who have been here the whole time.
Liar!
Right.
Fenn hid a treasure in Yellowstone.
Liar!
Right.
Forrest Fenn hid a treasure near West Yellowstone.
Liar!
He hid a treasure chest at 9 Mile Hole.
Liar!
There was a blaze.
Liar!
There's no cipher.
Liar!
It wasn't in New Mexico.
Liar! 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 Liar!
Yeah.
That sums it all up, doesn't it?
That's been my experience talking to these people. Yeah.
But you know what we'll do just to calm it down?
Baba Booey.
No Baba Booey.
Warriors who were bested and left the battlefield on their shields, as it were.
But see, I like that. I like what they said there because that's how I feel. Yeah, I mean, I'm a noble warrior. I left the battlefield on my shield. That sounds nice. Let me go with that. I like that.
Yeah. Treasure warriors. We leave our shit on the field.
Yeah. Carry me off the field on a shield. I like that idea.
However, another group of researchers who to this day refuse to give up, who refuse to believe in this Jack Stoof joker who claims to have found the treasure but won't say where. You remember the story of the World War II soldier.
Wait, Jack Stoof joker. Who could possibly be insinuating that?
I feel like that's from your interview. Like they took directly what you said and put it in there.
That's from me?
Yeah, I think so.
From Japan, who refused to believe that his nation had surrendered. And he lived on a small, barely inhabited island in the South Pacific, fighting the good fight until the 70s.
Until the 70s.
Did you ever hear that story?
Whoa! Yes, I did, as a matter of fact.
That's a great story. Yeah, so this is a guy, like for those who don't know, this is a guy who fought in World War II on the side of the Japanese, and he went missing or something like that, and he was afraid to come out because he thought the war was still going on. And like they mentioned, he was so afraid of coming out and exposing himself, not exposing himself, that sounds weird.
And we're not afraid of exposing ourselves. Name that movie.
Oh man, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
You'll get it, I promise. And we're not afraid of exposing ourselves.
Right. I know that movie. I just can't remember it at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, you get it. You'll get it. Anyway.
All right. So anyway, this guy was too afraid to come out of the bushes and expose himself because he thought the war was still going on, and he was like, even after he saw people come through the jungle, he was too afraid to like talk to them because he thought maybe they were like, you know, maybe he just thought that the war was still going on. It's an amazing story. You guys should look it up if you're not familiar with it.
There's actually quite a few books on this. It's quite marvelous.
Yeah. It's actually a sad story if you think about it.
Well, when I say marvelous, I just mean it's a good story.
It's an amazing story, yeah. It's amazing that things like that happen.
And you don't want us exposing ourselves.
You don't want us exposing.
Hold on, let me see if I can just play it.
And you don't want us.
Oh yeah, hold on. That's from Ghostbusters. 1 or 2? I'm gonna say 2.
And you don't want us exposing ourselves.
Ghostbusters 2. Yep.
Well done. All right.
Believed that his nation had surrendered, and he lived on a small, barely inhabited island in the South Pacific, fighting the good fight until the 70s.
Right.
People like Barbara Anderson. If you followed the Forrest Fenn saga, you may recognize her name. She's the one suing the Fenn estate for the treasure, which she claims is rightfully hers.
She ain't the only one.
To solve for where warm waters halt? Of course.
I can't tell you.
How about for Home of Brown?
I can't do that. Yeah, I can't do that.
Oh, yeah. So what's her endgame?
He tells you in his poem at one of the bookstores that he's like the crocodile. I mean, he's telling you, he tells you at the beginning of the book he's a joker. You better watch out because the crocodile is looking for the fish to eat. He's telling you, welcome to my swamp.
We'll get to that in the next episode. Also, we'll hear from a few searchers who think the whole thing was an elaborate hoax. And that either there never was any treasure or that someone was closing in and Fenn didn't want anyone to find it, so he retrieved it himself. When Dale Neitzel was asked his thoughts about such people, he offered the following response.
I call them fuckheads and ignore them.
That's next time.
Whoa! Hold on! I want to hear it again. 31:41. Let me go back.
People, he offered the following response.
I call them fuckheads and ignore them.
That's next.
Hold on. I want that as my ringtone. I want my phone to ring whenever somebody calls and say, I call them fuckheads and I just ignore them. I want that to be my ringtone.
It's quite brilliant. Brilliant. All right, so we've reached the end of episode 4. How do we feel about this episode?
I mean, like I feel like this told you got to remember this like when Barbarisi came on and did the interview, he said the book isn't written for the Forrest Fenn community. It's written for people who don't know anything about what we're doing here, and they kind of want some insight. Again, this podcast is not made for us. It's made for the normal folks out there who have no idea. And I like it because it's something that you can share with people who don't know anything about the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. And it's a good introduction to this weird hobby that we all share. So from that standpoint, it is important to tell, the story of treasure hunts in general and kind of like explain where their origin story, where they come from, and how Forrest Fenn fits in the overall treasure hunt universe. It may not be exciting for most people, but there, in the later half, there's some gems there. Like, I mean, Dale saying what he just said is definitely for us, which I think is great.
Right, and Lucky Digger says, yeah, Barb is not happy with Dale on this, and then Candy is asking, who did Dale call a fuckhead? I mean, do we have to rewind it?
Basically, everybody in the treasure hunt still thinks that there's some mystery to this, especially the ones that want to sue about it.
When Dale Neitzel was asked his thoughts about such people, he offered the following response.
I call them fuckheads and ignore them.
Now, hold on. Such people. So let's rewind it a little bit.
Yeah, we got to get some context here.
Yeah.
The book is a joker. You better watch out because the crocodile is looking for the fish to eat. He's telling you, welcome to my swamp.
We'll get to that in the next episode. Also, we'll hear from a few searchers who think the whole thing was an elaborate hoax.
Right,
And that
those guys.
there never was any treasure, or that someone was closing in and Fenn didn't want anyone to find it, so he retrieved it himself. When Dale Neitzel was asked his thoughts about such people, he offered the following response.
I call them fuckheads and ignore them.
That's next time on X Marks the Spot.
Wait a second. So he kind of, now that I think about it, so the conspiracy theory that I love the most, because you can't really disprove it, is that Forrest Fenn moved the treasure chest, or somebody moved the treasure chest, and it was never originally where they're talking about that it was now, like 9 Mile Hole. I love that conspiracy theory because you can't really shake it off. It's always going to sit in the back of your mind. You can't really get rid of it. It's the ultimate perfect conspiracy theory because you can't disprove it. That is kind of exactly what they're talking about, because they're saying, Forrest Fenn retrieved it. Well, maybe Forrest Fenn didn't retrieve it. Maybe it was just moved. But basically, Dale is calling me personally a fuckhead.
Is he? I don't think he is.
I would lump myself in with the people he's talking about, because it's not that it's a hoax. It's that there's a possibility that the treasure chest was moved at some point. Now, there's no evidence for that. There's no real reason to believe that, but it's still out there as a possibility. And if you do believe that, which I entertain the possibility of it, then you are what Dale would call a fuckhead.
I think maybe I hear what you're saying. I think maybe there's a little bit more context behind it all, because remember, this is the end of an episode in which they edit stuff together. I feel as if we might hear, and I don't know this, I could be fucking wrong, but maybe we hear another sentence or two, and he's specifically calling people who say, Forrest never hid the treasure. Well, they're right. Fuckheads. I don't know. I didn't make this. So
he's probably talking. He's probably talking about the people who think it's a genuine hoax. Like Forrest never hid it. He like maybe it never existed. Maybe he kept it in his vault the entire time. There's a lot of people out there who thought that, especially before it was found. So these people probably continued thinking that after it was found.
So we just, we don't quite know on that one.
Yeah, I should clarify. If Dale called me personally a fuckhead, I would think that's hilarious. I would wear that as a badge of honor. That would be great. In fact, Dale, call me just in general. Yeah. Let's talk, dude.
I kind of agree with that. All right, so I'm asking Ashley. She got this In-N-Out burger. It's just so delicious. But I want to see. I know you hate that.
I love In-N-Out burgers, and I don't have. They're not around where I live, so
it's almost not fair. I get it.
I only get them when I travel. Yeah.
Treasure Warriors, do you think Cavalry would entertain my chase within the chase theory? Sure. I don't know. I don't work for them. I don't know if they're making anything right now. I don't even know who my contact is. I don't remember their name. I don't remember what she told me. I certainly don't remember what he said when we first talked. So let me ask Ashley if she's joining us, so I know for a fact. Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and play this final clip. Okay, are you joining or are we good?
I do think it's interesting. This episode, is she joining us?
No, dentist stuff went too long. She's like, I'm fucking tired. I need to eat.
Okay. I did want to bring up something. So this episode like a lot of it was talking about like the history of treasure hunts in general, but it was also couched in the idea of being a episode about the home of Brown. And I do think it's interesting, they kind of touched upon it, but I feel like they could have gone more in depth. Home of Brown, apparently, in this treasure hunt was the most important clue. Like, it really didn't matter in the final analysis whether you had where warm water's halt at all. You could just go directly to the home of Brown if you had the correct home of Brown. And theoretically, you could have deciphered what the correct home of Brown is without the rest of the poem. And it may have been tough. You may have been just walking around the home of Brown doing a grid search, searching every square inch of it with the metal detector, which is illegal where they said it was found. But theoretically, you could have brute forced it like that, and that sucks. To be honest,
I don't know.
That's not how Masquerade worked. Let me tell you this. So, like, you have the secret treasure hunt. The secret is 12 casts.
Keep going. You're good.
All right. You have 12 ceramic casts that are hidden in various cities around the United States. And, there's illustrations and clues and stuff that point to them. But guess what? It's metal detector proof. You can't just happen upon it. They're buried. You have to do a precise solve.
Hold on.
Like,
it says, Jeremy, this was an old statement by Dale. Then he showed the Pollitt email. What's an old statement from Dale? Do you know what he's talking about, Jeremy?
I have no idea. Calling people fuckheads?
He might have said fuckheads before. This is a brand new statement.
Yeah, this is a new interview.
Yeah, he might have said fuckheads before. I call them fuckheads. This is brand new audio. You've never heard this before. Guarantee fucking to you.
Yeah, this is. I mean, you can go back and listen to some of the other Dale comments in previous episodes of this podcast. This is definitely a new interview.
Yeah.
He may be reiterating.
It's a new interview. You have no shot of solving this treasure hunt, just for the record. Yeah. No, I don't mean to be an asshole, but if you don't think this is new, you need to test your ears.
I mean, maybe it's that Dale goes around calling people fuckheads all the time, but this is a new iteration of that.
I don't doubt that he's called people fuckheads before. If you say fuckheads once, you've said fuckheads twice. But that's not. So what? This is a new interview. End of story. So.
Yeah.
All right. So let. Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway,
sorry.
to my point, like it kind of feels like. And in defense of Forrest and even Jack, they're not talking about it. So Forrest isn't here to defend his poem. Jack has chosen not to defend his solve, whatever solve he was operating under. We don't even know. But just outside looking in, it does seem like you could have gone directly to Home of Brown. Like you could have picked. And there's people who would disagree with this and stuff. This is kind of my view and some other people's views. You could look at the book and Forrest often said, look at the big picture. One of the big pictures is that that collage of different fishing holes. You could have guessed it'd be one of his favorite fishing holes and just picked one of those from it and gone out there and called it the Home of Brown and just did a grid search. It's kind of disappointing because like you wouldn't find that in other treasure hunts. So in the context of this podcast where they're talking about other treasure hunts, that's not what you would find in other treasure hunts. In other treasure hunts, it was more precise. There was one determinate location. There wasn't many different paths to finding it. There was only one path to finding it. And you either solved it or you didn't. That's how precise it was. And there was, here it seems like there was multiple paths to figuring it out. And it is what it is, but it's not those kind of treasure hunts. Comments on that, Ben, while you have food in your mouth? You thought I was going to keep on talking, and that's why you took a bite.
I thought I had 15 more seconds.
I mean, I can make up more shit.
No, it's perfect.
But no, it is kind of disappointing. Disappointing is not the right word, because I had a lot of fun in it. The
Right.
solve itself, until somebody tells us, how it actually worked and stuff, it seems from the outside to be disappointing.
But again, I refuse to judge this until I hear the solve.
Right.
The
And
solve.
we haven't gotten that.
Whether Forrest Fenn wrote that down on his last day or never did, okay, I guess we'll never find out. But if he never did on his last day, that means he knew his solve would speak for itself on his final day.
Right.
This does not do that, so I'm still there. I'm still wondering. So
it doesn't. And like I mentioned earlier, in the Masquerade, there was no solve put out there, but then those physicist guys came along and they said, look, this is how it all worked. This is how you get within inches of finding it. Everything adds up. This is precisely how it worked. And the author comes along and says, yep, they got it right. These guys know their shit and they figured it out. You don't have that in this treasure hunt. For all we know, there is a precise solve out there that leaves you within inches of figuring it out and finding the treasure chest. And, we as a community haven't even worked that out. As a community, we have no, if you put us in the position of those physicists, which we're not, we suck.
No one claimed to be either.
Right. We haven't even worked out what the blaze is. We have guesses. We have ideas and stuff like that, but there's no definitive anything in this, and we're not even sure if that was actually the way you were supposed to solve it. The emails from Jack Stoof himself makes the claim that all 9 clues were at 9 Mile Hole. And, how does that work? Short of Jack's, I know you do, but I don't understand it. I need somebody to explain it to me. And nobody has, and if that's a winning solve, that's great. Somebody explain it. Somebody get me a physicist to come on here and walk me through how that works, because I still have questions. I'm confused by this ending. And somebody needs to come on and explain it to me. How does physics tell you that the treasure is wet? Get me a physicist. I need a physicist.
All right, so I'm going to give you a clue right now for my own treasure hunt. How about that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
All of this talk has inspired me. The poem takes you within 150 feet of the loot.
That feels like that should be a clue, but I don't feel like it is. I don't know if that's going to work. 150 feet. It's not more precise than that. Sounds like the clue is that you need a metal detector and grid search.
Takes you within 150 feet. From there, maybe the poem helps you. But it certainly takes you to within 150 feet. I think.
All right. Let me ask you this. If
Yeah.
somebody were to find it and you weren't able to give, you didn't give the solution yourself, would some physicists be able to work it out and tell us the answer?
Yes.
All right. Nice.
If I weren't around and there was no one to confirm this solve, if you saw the final solve, you would agree with all of it.
All right, cool.
Without me around.
Would you say there's multiple ways of getting there than or just one way, like one intended way, or could you accidentally circle around, and could you start in the middle of the poem? Could you start in the middle of your poem and figure this out?
No.
That's what Forrest said too, you liar.
Oh, I know that's what Forrest said. No. You need to start where I tell you to start. You need every clue. End of story.
All right. And it definitely has something to do with golf, right? I feel like you confirmed that.
Everything has something to do with golf.
There you have it. You guys heard it. But specifically,
Carrie wants Dale on our show. I would love to have
Yeah.
Dale.
Oh, absolutely. I've only talked to Dale through emails, and like it's always been a good experience. I would love to talk to him in person. That's one of my disappointments. I feel like I've had the opportunity to do that. He's been on some shows in the past, and I could have probably showed up on them, and I just, because of time and stuff, I wasn't able to. Probably my biggest disappointment is I had a chance to meet Forrest before, and I was just too busy with work, and I didn't get that chance. Wasn't able to make it, and that's probably the high tier one. And then the second tier is not having an opportunity to talk to Dale because, different people have different opinions of Dale, but I think he's a cool guy.
I love Dale. I think
Yeah.
he comes across great in these clips too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love him more after this.
Yeah.
All right, so let's listen to this final little preview trailer, and then we'll get out of here.
All right, cool.
If it weren't for the fact that the quote-unquote finder's attorney didn't tell me that it was sitting in a vault in Santa Fe, I'd probably be out there right now with 10 people moving the thing.
At first, the finder made it clear to Forrest Fenn that he wished to remain anonymous, and that, likewise, the location of the treasure would also be kept under wraps. To put it mildly, that didn't go over well in the treasure hunt community in general, and with Barbara Anderson in particular.
And that was all in New Mexico. And then I had the media calling me because I filed the suit while I was out there. And then I finally just came back to Chicago probably 2 weeks later or so.
So Ms. Anderson filed a lawsuit alleging
hold up.
an unnamed defendant hacked her personal email accounts.
Wait.
Is this a preview for next week?
Yes.
Well, like, how did I not know that? Okay. I was like, wait a minute. They didn't talk about this in the last episode.
Yeah,
Shit.
the preview. And wait, she says she goes back to Chicago. We know she's she's in New Mexico.
I had the media calling me because I filed the suit while I was out there. And then I finally just came back to Chicago probably 2 weeks later or so.
So Ms. Anderson filed a lawsuit alleging an unnamed defendant hacked her personal email accounts, stole her solve, and made off with the treasure right under her nose.
That's it. That's the
Right.
fucking preview. They know they have something fun here, and this is the worst preview we've gotten, which makes me think it's just all the better.
Barb.
Barb.
I have except for the stuff that people have shared with me, I have never watched a single broadcast of her, like a stream of hers or anything like that.
Yeah. No. I mean, what's the point? What's the point?
Well, it's just funny to me that she thinks that her personal email was hacked and not Forrest's email was hacked or something like that. Like,
Right. No, just her. Not Forrest. Her. She's most important.
Yeah.
By a spoof writer.
I feel like I just want to say something that makes her go off the rails and do a whole entire stream or something, just like complaining about what we're doing here. So
All you have to say is, Barb, you're wrong.
Barb, I sincerely think you're wrong. No one hacked your email. I don't think that's possible. And I think it's very egotistical to think that somebody hacked your personal email instead of Forrest Fenn's, because you're not that special.
Barb, I think you're wrong because someone from a Chicago area code texted you and you assumed it must have been some elaborate conspiracy brought on by Forrest Fenn to hire a writer so that they could get a number in Chicago so that they could text you and say, your stupid fucking solve in New Mexico is wrong. Go fuck yourself.
Where was she looking in New Mexico?
Who the fuck cares?
I care. I want to say, Barb, you're wrong, because if you're looking in New Mexico, I've got better places for you to look.
There you go. All right. Where were you looking, Barb? Because it was wrong. You should go look somewhere else. That's a good reason to ask. Fine. I'm okay with it.
Barb, I want to see you do an entire stream about where in New Mexico, just general area. If you're still, if you've got a specific solve, you don't have to tell it. I just want to tell you why you're wrong. And unless you were looking in the places that I was looking in New Mexico, in which case I want to tell you, yeah, you're right. That probably is where it was.
Oh, well, there you go. Maybe Barb is right, but more than likely, Barb probably is wrong. She just can't handle that.
Yeah. To be honest, Barb, I have nothing against you. I've never met you, never talked to you. I just want you to do a whole ranting stream because those are funny.
I have no knowledge of Barb as a person or an individual, but Barbara Anderson as a Forrest Fenn treasure hunter is one of the worst things to ever happen in the history of society. She is one of the worst searchers to ever come across treasure hunting.
Jeez. Yeah. If that doesn't provoke a stream, I don't know what will.
Is that about it? I think we're done here.
Yeah. Good job.
Jeremy, I want to thank you. Do you have final thoughts? Any final questions about anything? Or are we good here? We've been for 3 hours and 10 minutes. This is a long time.
Yes, Huli, I will watch that just because I feel like if we provoke a stream, it's my duty to watch it. And I will enjoy that very much.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, final thoughts on this episode. Again, I think it was a good idea for the normal people out there who don't understand what we're all about to go into the history of the treasure hunt, like, the pedigree there. I feel like they could probably talk more about the home of Brown. I do think that they're wrong that it's clue number 4. It's probably clue number 3. But, it's a good episode. I'm looking forward to next week's.
I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow night or tomorrow morning's episode. I will be watching or listening as soon as I wake up, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah. Oh, one comment for Calvary Media in particular. I know you're working on the solve, and I feel like you're so close, and I'm rooting for you guys. I really am, because I feel like from what I've heard so far, it sounds like it's the right place. It really is. I feel like you guys are going to find this thing. I'm hoping that you will. Like, the end episode is going to be like I really want the last sound effect to be like a chest creaking open and somebody going, like that gasp. That's what I want the last episode to be. And I feel like it's going to happen.
I love it. Well, that's a good final thought. I don't have a final thought. I think we're good here.
All right. Well, see you guys.
See you guys. Peace out. Have a good night.